Just chill. If you wanna see another season, watch your tail and don't give me a reason. If it goes bad, so we better. Dressing all black, not to act up. You see this drip, I'm of a different breed. And if I fall, I'm landing on my feet. If it goes
here in his first sort of session 3 that we've had in the Major 1. And he has a teammate who's very capable of supporting him and taking him where he wants to get to. A top quality team just has to deliver today. Polarized though, and users down below on Surge. And they don't want to out-heal things. They don't want to try and deal the damage when they can. Polarized constantly scouting, waiting for someone to be vulnerable. And he's going to be hearing fighting around him and thinking, is that something we can jump in on? Are they distracted? Can we just sort of go in and maybe sneak up on the team in this moment? I has to pick wisely. Can't be too overzealous.
Yes. Warrior and ABN on the other side of that one. Peeking through the cone. Don't even know that this team is down Surge. And you could be above Surge. You could be just kind of playing your game, scouting, not trying to get aggressive. But a team like this, polarized users who are down Surge, they're going to cause some commotion. They're going to turn somebody's game upside down. Unless they choose to out-heal it, 6 splashes, big pot, 2 jellyfish, and that's just on polarized alone. They could make that a viable strategy here.
And the big thing here is thinking about the next rotation, of course. Jumper and Paper have to go past these guys. They'll probably be hoping somebody has some sort of a pad that they can use. Of course, those still in the game. There's still something that are viable, especially in these kind of zones where you have a max distance into that 5th zone. But a fight will break out. Of course, we talked about them waiting for their opportunity. Opportunity is arising. But again, just keeping tabs on Paper and splitting them up as well. Barely getting out of their Paper. Jumper might not be too fortunate though. They're going to stay on the hunt, stay aggressive. And that's probably not going to be too good for Jumper. He looks like he's going to fall. 92 taken. And he's only a couple more HP away from falling. It is not looking good at all, but Users himself has fallen. And so all of a sudden, for 2 teams who, of course, we knew it was going to be a rough rotation for them. They've almost just wiped each other out here.
Bro, he turned that frown upside down real quick. But you got to know, Paper was right there with him, trying to make it happen. Back to where you began, though. Polarized trying to make some magic happen. He goes down, but at least he took down Paper, so he's going to get some points for his effort. Jamper knows he can't be the hero here. He has to go forward as a solo.
Jamper is no stranger to a solo situation, though. So we'll keep an eye on him and what he's able to do. For everybody else, though, the game just keeps getting harder and harder. No, it looks like Jumper's falling in the feed, so that will be the end of their run. Canada and Aegis, though, they still have a stake in this game. Plenty to work with as well right now.
And taking down Degen towards the high ground. Muzz having no choice but the shockwave hammer right out of there. You heard them talk about it, Taco and Vivid. That's a kind of a get out of jail free card, and they go and show it in the background to perfection there as Nut and Nosh are trying to scout this out. They got that front side of zone. They have the high ground. They have the recipe for success. It's just a matter here. 6 moving zone with all the shockwave hammers going down below you. The possible launch pad. Is it too soon?
Yeah, and of course with zone sort of pulling across a hill here, that will sort of make their time easier. You can see them scouting it, making sure they're aware of the terrain they have to traverse. There'll be a lot of players who don't have that sort of luxury. They ain't got that kind of visibility. A bunch of boxes all in between.
Look at the feed. Fuga goes down. It's going to be off the Peterbot here to try to be the hero. Can he get him back in the game as Miro and Edgy playing that calm, cool, collected, slow and steady wins the race. And it does like Peterbot was going to try to go for the revive, but he has to try to get out. And you look at him right now, no builds, no heals, no resources. He needs the refresh. Peterbot with a huge shot, trying to take control. That's Rokan and Joji on the other side, and they used their get out of jail free card. They went past go. They collected that $200.
If there was anyone that was going to win a 1v2, you would think it would be Peterbot. But those players get away. He now has a tough job to do. Basically no builds, just has to get in and do what he does best. Hit some big shots. It's not going to happen for him, though. He will fall.
Oof. Lightning does not strike twice in the same spot. He finally goes down. Clicks and Donnie, though, looking pretty good in this position. Was going to use the word healthy, but Donnie looking a little light there, but not going to happen. there as he kind of shields up along with Fix, not wasting any time. Walker's avert, trying to stay ahead of the zone. Suscript and John Valenzuela are going to stagger themselves back. They know they have the Shockwave Hammer to instantly try to take the front side of zone, but ends up into the wrong box. He has to use it again. Suscript finally gets out alive.
And as good as the hammer can be, if you don't scout, if you don't watch where you're going, you end up in somebody's box. That's not a great situation. All the players up, down, and over the hill. It's such a messy zone to deal with. Kicks and Donnie, though, they're staying cool, they're staying calm, and they're looking to try and get in, but Kicks, you gotta be careful. You need to get up here, buddy, and that's exactly what he'll do. All the way down it is to the bottom of that hill with barely a lick of HP, and needs to be careful because there's not all friends around him.
That's Rise on the other side, but I think Donnie was there just to save the day. Trying to back him off. Great shots being landed. Burton Walker having a good layer here, but they know they still have to go to the zone. Shockwave Hammer coming out. Cooper trying to hold on. Sacrifices some HP. He knows he has the shield splashes, but under pressure, trying to get out, changing layers, working to the perfection, all while Nosh and not fighting for the high ground against Kanadas and Agers.
It is chaos right now in this lobby. Everybody trying to make the right plays. And up above, Nosh as a solo no longer has Nut. All he needs is to try to stay alive, but when you have Kanadas and Agers knocking on your door, you have to answer, and he will be sent back to the lobby. Kanada and Agers, though, prime now to take this game. You know they're going to try to clear everybody else out, though.
Yep, they get in that driver's seat. Thank you for keeping the seat warm. Clicks goes down. Now it's all to Donnie. Plenty of builds to work with. Little light on the HP, but one refresh will solve that problem. You can see him picking and choosing, surveying the field, trying to find what is the right play as Walker goes up and over everybody that's towards the low ground, outlasting landing into the top 10.
Yeah, but with how low Walker's is right now in terms of HP and materials, eventually he's going to drop down. And when he does, look at all these duos down here ready to just capitalize, ready to jump on him. Pamster, in fact, they're trying to claim front side of this, and they have really, really good control. Rise and Yomzo have a tough challenge on their hands. They need to hit some big shots and soon.
Taking a break. It's like they never left. Yomzo and Rise trying to take control as well. They're one of the teams I talked about making a huge comeback in the Elite Cup Finals, and they're doing it again. Costa goes down. They're really here, and they're ramping up. They're taking over this end game.
They got blocked off of low ground, and so they decided to move up and pick up a couple of limbs along the way, dropping back down now as the zone will start to move. They're going to try and engage that fight again. Cooper, though, he doesn't know who he's messing with. That was Kanada right there. You got to stay calm, my friend. As he plays this as a solo, big damage being eaten, and he has to just hold on in this one. No, he will fall as well.
Just a couple more seconds. The danger here, Augment would have brought him at least up to 100 HP. Huge. Pamso goes down. The Yomzo and Rise trying to take control of the low ground. Top 3 situation here. Kanada and Agers have the high ground, and a lonely solo is that meet in the middle.
The Yomzo and Rise so cerebral in this game. They couldn't take low earlier. They waited a bit for the zone to start moving a different direction, then they claim it. And now they're trying to claim the victory royale as well. Like you said, there is still a solo lurking in this one, and so all will sort of hinge on what they decide to do. Thatch and Pamsu, though, they'll feel like they still have a chance with Thatch still kicking it, still holding on to height, but for how much longer? As he's now sandwiched Kanada and Agers in, and so he's causing problems for them. They will drop down, and they won't be able to handle the heat. How's he actually done that? Thatch has managed to steal second place, and now it's a 2v1. Rising and Yomzo will clean things up and take game 1. The duo, Jacob, that has been so impressive. The duo that has been in top form so far this season. They start the major the way they intend to finish, in first place.
And you see them tunneling towards the low ground, not really making any noise, setting themselves up a couple of boxes wide, and as soon as they heard Kanada and Agers trying to take down the solo in the high ground, that was their cue to go, and they went and took over the rest of that game.
Impressive play from plenty of duos in this game. I'm sure Kanada and Agers here on our screen, they'll be wondering, where did things go wrong? How did we allow Thatch to bully us like this? He really made things difficult, really made things awkward. And like I said in a moment, he stole away second place almost. You never really expect a solo to win in that situation, but he did a brilliant job. Still, though, was no match for Yomzo and Rise, who, again, they have just been so impressive this season. And if this is how they're going to keep it moving, I'm very excited about their chances.
I mean, they already have back-to-back Week 1, Week 2 Elite Cup Finals victories. They're just channeling that momentum. I'm telling you, these finals, they just create different beasts.
Yeah, I'm super excited. What a first game. We have plenty more of those to come, but we need to take a little break, right? We still got a lot of games to handle, so we're going to send it to our analysts to break it all down.
Thank you guys so much. A fantastic way to kick things off here in NAE's Game 1 of Major Number 1. My gosh, it feels somehow the same, but a lot different.
Chaos ensues, right? And that's pretty much exactly what we wanted coming into major number 1. All the stakes were on the line. We said that the roadmap was laid out. The players needed to come in and show us what they really had, and I feel like they really did that in game number 1.
And it's exciting, too, because we got a little bit of everything here. We saw some of that high ground action with Kanata and Agers. They were commanding that hype layer for the longest time, up until Not and Nosh started to try and push them off. We saw a brief drop from Agers and Kanata, but then instantly retake that height layer. And it's important because of the fact that they were just able to secure so many elims, so many tags throughout, just applying a lot of pressure onto those mid and low ground sections.
And you can see right here, just absolutely annoying the heck out of Nosh. And they just kept breaking down any high ground that they built. But, I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to see out of Kanata and Agers. I mentioned that they were so good at Storm Surge last chapter. They made it to every single end game. I just feel like they didn't find enough eliminations. And then coming into half zone this game, actually, they already had 4 eliminations. And, of course, closing that game right there with 8. That is exactly the form I want to see them in.
But despite having all of that high ground control, again, it was the low ground that actually ended up dominating here. And Yamzo and Rise, very similar storyline to what we've been seeing from them throughout these Elite Cup weekly finals. They have just been completely destroying everyone that tries to challenge them on these low ground sections. They kind of snuck underneath. There was a brief instance where I believe Clicks almost had the opportunity to try and challenge him with Donnie. Unfortunately, that duo just got a little bit too split. So Yamzo, Rise, they just continue to maneuver throughout this low ground area, building out to make sure that they had a literal empire on the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, the playstyle that we're going to see throughout the major, maybe even the entirety of the year from Yamzo and Rise, is that they love to go to the front side of the low ground of zone, but they don't do it into like the later moving zones actually, and it always works out for them so well. But one of the plays that I really love out of them right there is that they actually had that low ground position, but then they went back and went up to actually find a refresh. So big awareness from them right there.
You can tell some of these duos have already adapted, right, to everything that Chapter 4 has to offer. Here we go to take a look at the standings from just game number 1. Of course, Yamzo Rise, massive victory royale there, leading the pack with 109 points now. Remember, this is just game 1. We have another 5 games here in week number 1, but still a kind of an awesome showing to just kind of start off the competition.
A pretty action-packed top 4 as well. I mean, 11 elims, 9 elims, 9 elims, 10 elims. Yep. It's kind of fantastic to see that we are getting exactly what we asked for, and we're telling these players, hey, are we going to be aggressive or not? And I mean, with how chaotic these late games have been, it's just so hard not to run into someone, especially because there were many instances where we saw those shockwave hammers almost working against the individuals that were using them, because if you're not careful with direction, Levin mentioned it, you might just wind up in somebody's box, or you could be Peterbot and just catch them off guard from behind.
I really quickly wanted to touch on Coop, who was there, caught in the end game, went down 4th, but he was solo. What happened? What led us to that moment?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, Taco, it begins at the early game, right? The south side of Salapi is where his run actually began.
And it's incredible, too, because Acorn and Cole, they've been doing such a fantastic job leading into this first week of Major 1, but Cooper and Seek, they do not care. They took the immediate contest off spawn, they win it out, and from that moment on, they were able to establish so much early game surge management that they were able to just prioritize the positional advantages. And even with the solo instance there for Cooper, he still had 4 elims by the end of it, 5 total for the duo. And again, a solo clutch into that top 5, always fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. And then now we're actually going to run through some of these highlights from that solo clutch. And, you know, as you can see here, hide and seek going out a little bit early. And this is where the shockwave hammer plays such a pivotal part right there. Maybe getting a little bit lucky on the John. They're just kind of finding himself in the box. But nonetheless, you know, it's a random situation that happens. But he seems like he is so on top of it, always prepared. And that's why we can find them in 5th place right now. Can't wait to see what they can do when they're actually a formulaic duo in that end game.
Yeah, the shockwave hammers, man, just makes the game so insanely dynamic. You just never know when someone can show up. Now, obviously, if your duel is kind of like expecting it, it's a little easier to combat. Yeah. But like a lot of these plays we just saw, it was like chaos, right? They just show up. Where are you in my box? What's going on? Where's my wall? It was amazing. You
know, it's funny from like a player's perspective. Of course, you have to always be on your toes and ready for pretty much anything. But I feel like us as spectators and everybody at home, you also have to be on your toes because so many things can just happen at a whim's notice.
That's right. Let's head on back here. It is almost that time for the next game on the day. So just really quickly, thoughts. Are we maybe hoping to see anything different in game 2? Because I feel like for me, man, let's just run that back.
I'm ready to just run it back. Honestly, get us off. Get them in.
Let's go. Let's go. What do you think, Vivid?
More of that. Yeah, just, you know, world formulaic stuff. Hopefully Acorn and Code can turn around in game number 2.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's that time. Game number 2 is upon us. Buckle up, everybody. Let's run it.
Well, our analysts said they want to see more of game one. I promise you one thing, we're going to have more and even better, Jacob.
Yeah, hopefully they laced up their shoes or even changed them depending on where they're at in the leaderboard, because this is a marathon. This is not a race. You got to be able to stay consistent through those games, because don't fret, you might look at the leaderboard, over 100 points, Yamzo and Rise, it's not out of reach.
Yeah, look, we might end up sounding very repetitive today because once again, the players are on the battle bus. They are ready to hop towards their POIs. And just like the start of every single competitive Fortnite game, the focus will be on contestant. Who will win Osborne? Who will be victorious in where they land?
Baila and Penn still taking their same tower. Fred Batakame kind of contesting the whole other side of Breakwater Bay. You got to be careful, because it was last time where Baila was able to get one of the first 2 eliminations in this same spot. And it looks like it might play out again. Fred Bot, Gutter Leave, taking a little bit distant between their counterparts on the other side. C's already getting one as well. Blake getting one. Everybody getting active very, very early.
Yeah, man, it's not looking good, right? When you land off spawn and get taken out so quickly, you feel like you ain't even got a chance to get a feel for the lobby yet. That is never, ever ideal. So many players falling though in our feed. It looks like Acorn's gone down again. So there's a lot happening. I'm sure we'll try to catch up on it all, because big names going down, but Baila will fall as well. And so now all up to M-Pen, and as good of a player as he is, he will not have the facilities to handle it.
And you can already see somebody trying to sneak back, trying to take over. There's Rise and Yamzo not having that same sort of luck this time around. I told you, we gotta go ahead and have that consistent gameplay through and through, but it's a 1v1. Rise versus Braids. Rise gonna go ahead and heal up. Braids not getting into the action just yet. He's trying to go ahead and play for the revive onto Moo. This is gonna be an interesting tactic, but if it pays off, Levin, it could pay off tenfold.
What is Braids cooking?
Pay off tenfold.
What is Braids cooking? Will he be able to hold on and get the revive? It looks like it. Just a couple of seconds. Will he hold on? No, he's not going to get it, but he'll still win the fight. Braids! I cannot believe what I've just seen. Our game one winners, Yamzo and Rise, one of the best duos so far this season. They have fallen in game 2.
Yeah, we already talked about Acorn going down early, and Booga and Paterbot trying to take full advantage of the situation, taking that POI and calling it theirs. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the replay. How did this action start?
Peterbot doing what he does best, harassing players that cause him issues. A big shot there. Wow, he just turns around. 180, 180, 360, he'll just hit a shot. Doesn't matter. It's like aim training for him. And those guys will be over the moon. If you're Booga and Peterbot, right, you know you have one of the best duos in the world landing at your POI, but they just have another duo just dealing with them every single time. You can just walk in and clean up. They will be ecstatic about how this day has started for them and how this game in particular has started for them. Will they be able to capitalize, though, with how great of a POI Slappy Swords is? I'd like to hope so. Switching gears, though, right back into the swing of things. Another fight here. And it's North Tate and Duke who'll be looking to win this one.
You can already see how many builds they're expending rather quickly. But Saucy, he's separated in a 2v1 situation here. And that's where Top G and Duke, they know exactly. They can be patient. They don't have to rush. And Saucy trying to go down, trying to go out. Use the static launch pad. Cone over the head. Denied. Access no more. And he finally goes down altogether. The huge elimination being picked up, just like on one side of the map to the other. Everybody picking up these early eliminations allows them to focus on their rotations.
It's actually really good for them that he was able to drop down into this building and they could confirm the elimination, because there was a team from afar taking shots. They almost stole the elim away. That wouldn't have been ideal for them. Nevertheless, another fight. The Excalibur being put to use here by Muzz. He's not a happy man right now because DGen is down and he does not want that. Tahi causing issues. And so he wants revenge.
You can already see them adapting on the fly. Death and Tahi going down to Storm Surge in that last game. They know they need the damage very early on. They already got an elim onto DJ, but a huge shot by Muzz. Wins the 1v1, takes out Tahi, and now he has that whole POI to get DJ back into the game.
Yeah, you can't mess around with Big Muzz. He will make you regret every single action you take. A very impressive player, and showing us why there. Some brilliant mechanics on display. Crix and Donny, though, we saw what they did in that first game, and by no means are they done just yet.
And I like Pamso and Fatch here. They were separated for the beginning of the Elite Cups. Obviously, popping off big. Fourth place, 68 points. Reunited never felt so good for these two. It's like they never left in this situation as XF and Dubs trying to have the high ground. Another team approaching, trying to put in the shots.
And I think the thing with Pamsu and Thatcher, you saw there in the top right, they've been playing together longer than any duo in this lobby, right? And if you're Pamsu in that last game, you're watching Thatcher and you trust him to get the job done, to deliver something special. And that's such a key element, right? So many of the duos in this lobby are competing with each other for the first competitive season, right? You know, sort of getting used to each other still maybe. But these guys, they know each other well at the back of their hands. And that goes a long way at the top level. For Dubs though, and except in session 1, they were super impressive. So we'll see whether they can match that energy now. Certainly doing a good job so far in this fight. Thatch now is hoping and wishing that he can survive this one. And those two just applying copious amounts of pressure and taking Pamsu out along the way. Nicely executed.
That had to be hard, though. That had to be very hard. Encrypted and Ducky on one side. And you got Chimp and Spade on the other. And usually we're talking about third parties, but guess what? They sent out 2 extra invites. You got a fourth party as well. And immediately, as soon as that one's done, Dubs and XF are like, I don't want to be in this situation anymore. I have to be able to get out. I have to rotate. And because they knew who exactly landed at their POI, they knew they got taken out, they know exactly which direction they can begin to rotate right back into.
Just seeing the red eye being put to good use here.
Uh-oh. Big possible opportunity for Clix and Donnie as well. Otis on the high ground, just melting away Clix's shields, backing him down, but backing him down right back into Donnie. No harm, no foul, as long as they can kind of regenerate the shields and HP that was just lost.
Clix falling asleep there for a second and punished for it. Don't like to see that from the big Clix. Does have the shield, so to get himself just a bit back up. But again, when you are so central in the map, Jacob, it can be so hard for these teams to take these kind of fights because there are so many players all around you. 360 degrees you have to worry about. It is very, very difficult.
And it's just one of those annoyances. It's like a fly out of a picnic
Exactly.
when you're trying to go ahead and take your battle, get your shots, and then it's just 4th, 5th, 6th parties just go ahead and trying to lend a helping hand.
Because most of the time, they're never, going to get the elim per se. But, that extra 50 HP that they chunk off from like 300 meters, it goes a long way in these fights, right? So, perfectly put, right, in terms of just being that annoying fly that you can't seem to get rid of.
Especially at my picnic. I like food. Walker's, he likes high ground. He likes storm surge damage. And that's exactly what he's going to do over towards Anvil Score. We got to be careful, though, because all the initial teams that did rotate there are already rotating out. They're trying to get themselves a better spot in zone, so they're just hoping that other teams that landed towards the outskirts are going to use that as a rotational path to try to get in the zone.
Yeah, it's an interesting game here. Champa, you saw how their game came to an end. It wasn't the most ideal. They didn't have the best of positions and trying to move into that 5th zone. Had a max pull 4th, and so they'll probably feel like they got a bit unlucky. But nevertheless, can't rely on zone luck in these kind of games. TK relying that there's nobody else in the zone anywhere near so that he can pick Pledge up. Mega and Justice going to be looking to refarm with this building. The materials aren't ideal, right? And that's one of the problems in terms of, being in some of these central POIs. This biome in general, this season on the map, isn't the best for metal, right? And so you'll see a lot of teams with low counts like this having to get creative in terms of where they go to get their metal.
All those stoves on the inside, everything's getting scavenged for. And it's even harder when you are in one of those contested spots like Faulty Splits to where, yeah, you're getting a chance at such good loot. And that is a little bit of a trade-off, but you risk not being able to farm, not being able to mat up on top of the lack of actual resources that are gatherable in that POI. You see where the next zone is going to pull a little bit more towards the center, which you can already see Slappy Shores, that right and eastern side of the map, that's where it is going to be a bit slower.
Yeah, for sure. For Joji and Rokane, you can see their setup isn't too bad. They'll have the chance to sort of take those sort of shots from a distance like we were discussing when it comes to all these players and trying to get above the surge threshold. I would love to know, though, one of the teams who we saw so much of last game, the 3rd place team, Canada and Ages, right? They're able to make it deep in games. They want to refine the end bits, but what are they doing in some of the earlier moments? We got Mini Miner here on the side to fill us in on what they're doing.
11, they are taking absolutely no risks whatsoever. They're building a huge tunnel at their drop spot, Faulty Splits, giving them so much real estate to get Storm Surge tags. Of course, this also enables them to put some heals safe and collect all of the heals up at the top, so that then, of course, they can use those when they're going for tags and potentially getting hit. Beautiful stuff from this duo. Let's see them pop off again.
I think that's one of the interesting things to follow, right? The strategies players are using, the small little techniques and tricks that go into making sure you can stay above the surge threshold. Of course, shields go a long way in that, right, Jacob? Because, you know, if you need to deal damage, there's often a good chance you're going to take some damage. And so when you've got that extra bit of shields in the reserve, it just allows you to be a bit more zealous in your attempts to be aggressive and take fights.
And I get that feeling of deja vu because last time I've really seen a strategy like that pay off. And yeah, it's used. It's a very common strategy. Gather all the heals. That way you can trade shots. But the last time it really paid off, Seti and Cammy, EU, FNCS Invitational. Throughout 2 days, they got 4 victory royales. And so you got to imagine, at least the blueprint here for Kanata and Aegis has already been laid, knowing exactly what to do, trading those shots. And, oh my God, 3 straight tags. Shield just ripped right off.
This guy is unreal. You can expect to see him hit shots like that over and over again. That's what the red eye is for. And that's why you'll see a lot of these teams pick it up, just because it allows you to hit shots like that. You're not likely to hit shots like that with an assault rifle, just a regular one. The red eye, though, the extra bit of precision you get being able to aim down sights is huge.
Yep. Warrior and ABN, 221 above the damage threshold. They got static rotation next to them, so even though they're not in the zone, they are close by and they have plenty of options to work with. TK and Pledge, I'm actually really interested in their story for this game. Pledge was taken out early, gone. TK used a lot of time, taking a lot of damage in the storm just to get Pledge back into this one and give him a second chance at life.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to have to be, you know, a story of uphill battle, because they are down when it comes to everything. In terms of surge, they're barely above. The materials are horrific at this stage in the game. Absolutely no metal for Pledge, barely any brick. It is not setting up to be the best of games for a duo who has been rather impressive so far this weekend. And so don't let this moment here, you know, be your only judgment of them as a team. They do have more to show. But this game is never over, right? They can always turn things around.
Quick stat, Peterbot and Booga are the only previous FNCS champs competing together today in NAE. And just goes to show that even though during, you know, regular cups, the off season and things like that, Booga's not necessarily there, he really rises to the occasion when these big major FNCS is rolling around. That goes to show that nerves are just not a thing for him. They're just not in his body at all, not in his anatomy.
Hey, there's a reason many consider him the greatest of all time, right? He's done it in the big stages and he'll continue to do so. Of course, though, this is a big stage and a stage that you'll have to perform on if you want to gain the respect of your region, and these kind of fights are the ones you have to win if you want to make your way there.
Epoxy and Tetro, they were going for it, 153 below the damage threshold, but he peaks, takes a huge shot back from Chimp and Spade, and they're ready for it now. And as soon as they hear those shields crack, they know Storm Surge is active, and this is their chance. They can either get aggressive, try to take control of the situation, or they can play passive, knowing these guys are taking damage no matter what they do in this situation.
Yeah, they are just holding their cool. You can see how they're just sitting on the right-hand peak, sitting on that angle. They're waiting for them to make a move. They'll be ready for it. And you see shotguns already hitting big shots as well. Chimp, he is excited. You can see it in his eyes. He's hungry, and he'll hit the shot as well. Big stuff. And cheeky 2 limbs for them as well, making it look easy.
Yeah, I believe they kind of went 2 separate directions with that Shockwave Hammer, went into 2 separate full duos. And sometimes that separation is just enough, even though you're trying to play aggressive, but another person who is down and needs to get back up is Clicks. You can see no Shockwave Hammer, no extra resources. Even though they're above the damage threshold, you know a refresh is imminent to come out of them.
Yeah, they're looking for it. They definitely see an opportunity. I want to make sure that they have a path towards the zone. This is another game where we see them sort of having to struggle to deal with a bunch of different teams around them. That was perfectly timed. Nave stood no chance. I'm sure he blinked and he didn't even realize he was down with how quickly they took him out.
I feel bad, though. because Clix and Donnie are expecting a treasure trove of goods, and they get an empty pinata. Nothing.
They'll take what they can get, right? Beggars can't be choosers.
True.
Sax and Illis in a similar situation where so many teams rotating past them. And they will do themselves a world of good by picking up this knock, and that's exactly what they will do. Ignat goes down. And that makes their rotation a bit easier in terms of now they are sort of not the prey, they're the predators. They're the ones on the hunt, on the ones on the push.
And they read the play right now. A south pole, and they're on the farthest north side. They know very few teams are going to be able to contest this right now, especially since they're fighting backside into the zone. Illis lands that final shot, getting the elimination, the refresh, and now on to the rest of the journey. They continue, but they still got so many other teams. I said it was a south pole coming from the north. This is going to be a minefield.
Yeah, and look, Donnie and Clix, all of a sudden, again, we talk about quick turnarounds in games and how quickly things can change. Donnie's down. TK wants to get revenge for Clix picking up Pledge, and that's exactly what he did. Oh my goodness, he made that look mad easy.
Both of these teams, I mean, TK was actually fine through and through. It was Pledge, who didn't really have much to work with. We saw Clix and Donnie moments before this. They didn't have much to work with. And we can actually see exactly how TK made that come to fruition.
Yeah, you see here, just a couple boxes away. The easiest limb he'll probably get today, right?
It looks like Pledge did most of that one.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, that's the teamwork, making the dream work. Pledge goes down, sacrificing for a couple more points. Storm Surge to put in his back pocket, something that he can use for the rest of the game. And you can see the average placement coming out of Illis and Slack, 12 across day 1 and day 2 of the previous round. And I like that because that prepares them for this style of play. Instead of going around gathering all eliminations, W keying, playing aggressive, they're getting ready, using those 2 days for as much practice as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And look, the big thing is, right, is that, you know, these players are playing for series points today.
True.
So if you perform mode, you know, you can come back. In previous editions of the FNCS, maybe if you were one of the top 3 teams or top 5 teams, you maybe even qualified straight to the finals, right? And so you didn't have a chance to sort of come back into this session and fight again. All of these players will have that opportunity when it comes to next week. So you want to set the seeds and allow them to grow throughout the rest of the qualifying weeks. Costa, though, they'll be wanting to have a better game. But it's not going to be easy when they're down on Surge. They're forced to take a fight and aren't working with much by way of HP. Literally no shields remaining. They just have to hit some big shots and quickly. But with the separation being created, I can't lie, Jacob, it is not looking good. Yeah. I do not see these guys staying alive for much longer.
No, it's very scary to think, too, that they were hitting a couple of shots, but it's still not enough. Storm Surge hits right back and takes them out, back to the lobby. And you got to go ahead and revamp your gameplay. That's something that you have to do game after game. You can't think that the same thing's going to work every single time, unless you're maybe Peter Button Booga, to where you have your game plan that solid, that tight, to where you can go ahead and continue doing what you do best.
Yeah, look, they were looking at big raids there, right? So you got to put some respect on his name.
True.
Obviously, one of the players that took out Yomzo and Rise earlier in the game, so definitely not no one you want to mess with, but he is looking like a solo at least, so not going to be in his strongest of positions. Canada and Aegis, though, we obviously saw how they were setting up for Surge. Aegis now being picked back up. So hopefully now they'll be able to get redemption, because I'm sure they will feel like they should have been getting first place in game 1. Reduced down to third, though, by Thatch himself. Vert, though, struggling. He gets knocked. So it's all on the Walkers.
Yeah, Walker's knows he saw it through the cone. He has to be able to get out. Wall's going to get taken, though. Walker's getting backed up. He now has to change layer. Go up, go over. Vert, it's a non-factor. Can't be the hero. Trying to wait for that perfect moment to edit the floor. Scudstrip is there along with John to try to shoot back. Not letting that surprise attack be successful. And they immediately just pick him up. Take him back into the boxes. Let's get this loot. That slow and steady gameplay. Not getting greedy. That is the recipe for success.
That is brilliant from Susprit and John. I'm sure they will still look to try and see if they can pick up Walkers, but just having the discipline there to not get overexcited. Make sure you grab the body, secure the loot, and then we reconvene and see what the best play is. Too many times I see inexperienced players just get ahead of themselves in those kind of situations. Oh, we got 2v1, let's go in. Ooh. No, staying calm, and now making their way over to the zone. Gonna split this rotation up into 2, use the hammer for 1 movement, and then the second, and that should be enough to get them into the zone.
Peterbot just lagging back. They know they got one of the shortest runs of the lobby. Zone's going to be moving slowest here on this right side, wasting no time, getting right into the zone, finding themselves a great spot. And Vivid talked about it. If any of these teams do have forecast, you activate it in this zone, you'll see zone 6, 7, and 8. You'll be able to rotate and use that shockwave hammer to try to steal away the front side of zone.
What I like about this visual is that we have Threats and Macwood, and if you don't know anything about these two, you can very much expect to see them in these kind of positions all major long. They love to play high, and they are very good at it as well. Macwood has been doing that in competitive for a very long time, since the beginning of competitive in NA East. And he'll continue to do it to this day, and the Threats by his side, they are a formidable duo for sure.
Looking out there, I'm like, Encrypted, what are you doing, my man? I know we're going to find out sooner rather than later if that plan is going to work. You see him splash? I think it could. No, well, never mind.
Never mind.
We'll go back and kind of figure out what he was doing later, maybe after the show, something like that. Because right now, John and Suscript, they're brewing up a plan along with Peterbot and Booga. Talked about it, their front side of the zone yet again. They have a little bit of a layer, but you know, they're going to probably shockwave. They're going to build up the ramp just like Macwood is doing, but instead, they're going to try to shockwave to the front side of the zone.
Yeah, that's going to be very secure with all that metal they built there. Walker, so still moving as a solo. Obviously, saw Vert getting taken out, but he's not giving up in this game. 22 below, hitting a shot there. That will go a long way, puts him 42 above. So you can breathe, but just for a moment, it still needs to get back on the offensive statics, so they're looking for a box fight situation. They know they need to fight, they know they need to get a refresh, they know they need to get above surge, and the opportunities are certainly around them, and they just have to be a bit quicker. No, getting hammered out of the way, and now trying to hammer back towards each other. Suscript though, he's off-pit John, and so he's now going to be playing as a solo. Does have to hammer though.
Big mini being used right there. Trying to get himself right back up. Macwood and Threats, I love this high ground take. They're getting it right on the layer. Scare and Slam is right below him. Have to be careful.
And all these duos who are sitting up higher, right, it's brilliant for them. Because the zone's pulling across a glacier, and it means it's going to be a very steep cliff. They can suffocate these duos beneath them. It's going to be a very, very good time. Joji and Rokane are going to be scouting things out, though, figuring out where they can move to. And once they have figured it out, they decide they want to move towards that front side. Zone pulling away now. And that'll give a chance for all those teams lower down, just to get a bit of breathing room, just to get a bit of space. Illisto on the offensive.
Yeah, without slacks, he knows it's all on to him to pick up as many points as possible. He knows it's 4 more games after this one. All those points can add up to a great total as Macwood and Threats still holding on to that high ground, tarping out. They're getting ready to put that pressure down as Walker, as we talked about him being a solo. He's able to get into the zone, pretty healthy at that, but he doesn't have any builds. Anything is better than nothing here as Illis goes in. Huge refresh going to be captured on the gold duck, but pressure from the high ground, but he has plenty of heals to work with.
Scuffed solo in the backside, just having to rely on his shotgun. Suscript though, in a similar situation, but not in the backside of the zone, just lurking, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for someone to walk into his sight, but doesn't look like anyone's going to be there. Illisto still in the thick of things.
Rapid's going to go down. Walker, Fred, everybody's getting taken down left and right. Illis, all he needs is that little bit of HP and shield. He's trying to outlast everybody, just along with Suscript, who finally gets spotted out. Tagged up, got dropped down to the low ground and sent back to the lobby. Rokane is going to get the credit for that one. Trying to go in. Doesn't get very many resources for his efforts, though.
But the zone pulls back, and that's going to be brilliant for him. It just gives him that time he needs just to get himself back up. Up on height, though, things are changing all over the place. What happened to Macwood and Threats? We were singing their praises. They were up on height, everything was looking good. And now they're looking scuffed. Now it's down bad. Macwood, no mats and no HP. He will fall. ABN and skills up above, looking great.
They have to control the high ground. Plenty of builds there to connect themselves to, so the danger of not falling is not going to be there. Kanata under siege. He goes down. Him and Adrian did everything they could to continue that consistency, just like Jamper and Paper. 5 eliminations so far. Making it to the end game, all they need is a chance.
Yeah, it's now kicking off for all of these teams. Rokane still trying to stay alive here, running low on mats, very low on HP. Can he hit a big shot? That's going to be the question he has to answer. Peterbot and Booga, though, they're looking primed and ready to deal with any of these players who just fall down, walk into their sights. Free loot for them, it seems.
Yep, front side of zone. plenty of builds in terms of endgame here to work with to try to stay ahead of everybody else, except cannot say the same. 2 builds, but 2 splashes in the Shockwave. He can try to make something happen along with Paper here. 2 different Shockwave handers he needs to work with. Plenty of resources. It comes raining mass, but bounce to the outside. Goes right back in like a game of ping pong, trying to land the shot, but he gets just enough to get inside zone.
Paper hitting just the shot he needed. ABN taking out Booga. Will he take out Peterbot? It doesn't look like it. Peterbot will get his revenge, and now players are falling from all left, right, and center. But it's going to be a bigger limb for Paper. He keeps on hitting these big shots. I don't know how he does it. And now all of a sudden, a solo who had no business really having a big stake in this game looks like he could win the whole thing.
Paper beats Rock, and he's hoping everybody down low. It's just a bunch of rocks. The Scare's trying to go up and over. Paper gets knocked down. Scare doing what he can, but all this damage from the zone. He needs to be able to pop the med mist. Doesn't get it in time. He goes down. Peterbot making magic happen. 5 eliminations. He has the med mist as well. This is a 1v1v1 for the game. Peterbot goes up and over. Gets another elimination onto Quanti. 1v1 situation. This is it. This is everything for the game. He has high ground. He's in the zone. Except trying to shockwave up. He gets denied entry. Peterbot with 7 eliminations by himself takes the game.
Staying cool, calm, and collected. When Booga went down, he didn't shake, he didn't worry. He held down the fort, and he wins the game. So many solos left in that one, but he was the one that came out victorious. They were looking strong throughout this game, and when Booga fell, it was looking all bad. But when you have Peterbot on your team, one of the best players in the world, when it comes to just being a cool, cold-blooded solo player, and he shows exactly why. Wow.
I can just imagine Peterbot standing there right now, eyes closed. Imagine like he's in the Roman Coliseum telling everybody who just watched that, are you not entertained? Look at him just take over. Except he didn't really have a chance at this point.
Yeah, it was really over from that moment when you saw him building up. You knew it was going to be a problem. Wow, Peterbot and Booga, a duo that everybody who watches NA knows are them guys. They you know, right?
He's him.
But when they show it in these games, it really does get you excited for the FNCS. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, there was a lot of madness. We know Peterbot and Booga took that victory royale, but the leaderboard has shaken up so much. We need 3 of the best analysts to break it down and let us know where we're at after game 2.
Thank you guys so much. My goodness. I mean, this is why Booga picked up Peterbot, right? I mean,
the application coming in handy.
There it is. I mean, Peterbot, just an insane solo individual, man. I'm sure Booga was like, oh, it's just you. It's fine. You got it. You got it. Go ahead. Win the game.
I mentioned it, right? Like the trust that is existing right now between this duo, it's insane. And I can tell you right now, Booga was just sitting there and he was watching Peterbot go for it. He was like, yeah, he's got this 100%. I mean, Peterbot was looking clean in this endgame.
The moment that you see that it is a full-on individuals battle royale to the finish, you kind of have to root for Peterbot in that instance. And more importantly, even if you go all the way back to the very start of this game, you have to keep in mind, Peterbot and Booga actually did go for the contest this time.
Yeah.
Last time we saw them actually rotating out of North Slappy for game 1, but for game 2, they took the challenge, they took out Cooper and Sleek early on, and well, worked out for them.
That's right. Here are our standings as they are after game number 2. Agers and Kanata have now moved up. And look at this, 3rd place, Peterbot and Booga up 17 places off a single game. So literally no one is safe right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been a game 2. They can then, of course, Jamper and Paper as well, going up 17 spots. And then
again.
Accept and Dubs as well, jumping up 22 places. So big game for a lot of teams here, but it's great to see Jamper and Paper getting into this end game and showing us why they are so good.
Ever since they established their boot camp, I think that the synergy has really started to develop between
100%.
these 2 players. And Paper, for example, the fact that he was still able to collect 1-2 more elims just to try and secure a few more spots on the jump off. I mean, 17 placements being held up in the leaderboards, that is definitely not an easy performance to undermine, and especially the fact that there's just so much happening in these endgame instances.
There's a lot.
I feel like the big takeaway for me is just like, high ground just ain't it anymore. Like, yeah, it might get you to those final moments that you need to in the game, but there's just too much happening that, like, is low ground just going to win? This is the new thing, right?
I really just feel like it's just it's like ping pong match, like Jacob mentioned. Everybody's going up for high ground, but one team that was trying to hold it and did a really good job of doing so was actually Macwood and Thresh. Like we talked at the top of the show, everything on NAE East was switching up. All the teams were switching up. Well, the one thing that remained the same was this duo and the fact that Macwood loves high ground. So it's great to see him back up here. And honestly, I really feel like they were in such a good position to actually hold this for the rest of the game. And I thought they were going to win it, but again, those hammers just causing so much chaos, forcing them to use so many builds. I think it became a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit problematic whenever you're actually trying to maintain staying on top of the lobby, getting those free shots off. But again, elims can only take you so far if you're not able to maintain that high ground.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious to get your guys' thought on Storm Surge, kind of as it is right now. Feels like some players are managing well, some maybe not so much. What do you guys think?
I mean, so far, I'm kind of liking the things that I'm seeing out of the top teams for sure. I think they have some really good strategies going on around it, but it's just all about kind of like finding where you need to set up on the map and making sure you establish some early bases so that way you are elevated enough to pretty much see any of the rotating players around you to make sure you can get tags on them.
Yeah, Blake and Bizzle, I think, are a duo that did an excellent job at this because early on, we saw them establishing two separate bases at their POI, and they were just toggling in between them, making sure to collect their Storm Surge management early on, and it just made it all the easier for them once they started to rotate out.
Yeah, and then not to mention, we had Mini Miner come in during the middle of that game right there, right? We showed off Kanata and Naders, right? They were establishing a base over at Faulty to make sure that they were in a good enough position to get any tags on anybody that decided to rotate through. But then not to mention, those bases are so good because they just claim all that space whilst you are tagging everybody, so you're kind of like safe in that area as well.
And I like the utilization from a lot of these players. They're opting for bush bombs from time to time or just building their bushes or ramps off on the bushes because they're able to maintain their surge management, but simultaneously they're also making sure that they stay safe. And if any of these players also happen to have the Bush Warrior augment throughout that process, I mean, they're healing while they're also getting their tags in.
Yeah, there's augments, right? They can add so much. So there's a bunch of them that kind of amplify some of the uses of medium ammunition. Sometimes you don't actually use some of them. So a lot of things that can affect the gameplay throughout the entirety of these matches.
I'm telling you, man, self-expression, being able to say, how do I want to play this game? Augment's going to help me do that. You love to see it. Now, those are just the first two games. We have plenty more to go. So let's get ready. Because that's right, game number 3 is underway. Let's go!
Already there's so much excitement, Levin. After just 2 games, it feels like it's been plenty more, especially with the way Peterbot handled the pressure of that end game.
Hey, look, that's what he does, right? For the best players, it's easy, right? These big moments, they're nothing, right? It's an everyday in the park for a player like Peterbot, but who can rise to that level? There are plenty more. We saw some upsets. We saw big, drastic changes in the standings. There's going to be plenty more of that. But if you are some of the teams who've maybe been struggling off spawn, right? Acorn, can you, come back? Can you change that now that we're here in game 3?
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, do you change up the whole landing spot? Do you change up how you're playing your specific play style? Because right now, I don't think anybody coming into today after 2 games would have ever expected what they're seeing out of Acorn and Cold, but I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Acorn. I've seen what Cold can do with the biggest pressure of them on. It's only a matter of time. And with game 3 starting now,
let's jump in. Let's jump right on in. Too many times today, we've seen the feed go in a direction you wouldn't quite expect. And props to the players who are upsetting the big names in their off-spawn fights. But at a certain point, you got to think things will change. But who knows? This Fortnite, you never know what you're going to get when you drop into a map.
I mean, I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping for a little bit of a switch up. Maybe some of these newcomers rising to the occasion. We've got a huge switch up of the bus path, which is going to allow us to see Dubs and Accept already going at it. Pam's going to go down. Fats trying to be the hero and go straight up, and Dubs takes him straight right back on out. 2v1. And Yamzo goes down again. It's all up to Rise. And they fall. 2 straight games right out of the gate. Yamzo and Rise are going to be looking to really change things around.
I don't know how that's happened. Rise and Yamzo go from winning the first game to just absolutely losing everything, it seems, in these first 2 games. I can't believe it. That is heartbreaking for Yamzo and Rise.
I've seen them come back before. It may have been in game number 6, game number 5, and it may have been an Elite Cup, but I've seen them come back from bigger. As Kanata and Agers, 138 points, trying to have a little bit of a shake-up themselves. hold on, play a little bit here. As Acorn and Cold, we talked about them, we called them out, and it looks like they're going to stick to the game plan. They said, we didn't practice all this time for nothing.
Yeah, the pressure is on. They have to come up big, but it's not looking easy at all. You've got to wonder what it is that's going wrong for them, and whether or not they'll be able to recover mentally, because this is not easy by any means. And you have sort of a bad start to a day like this. And I mean, props to Coot and Hide and Seek, because as much as everybody will sit there and go, oh my goodness, how come Acorn and Cold aren't doing as well as before? You got to big these guys up, because they have made this upset happen. It looks like they're going to continue to do so as well. Got to be careful though. Don't want to give Acorn a 1v1 situation, because he does win those, but nevertheless, another game in their favor. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's almost like all or nothing in the next couple of games coming out from them. Their playstyle now has been dictated by the situation that they're in. They have to start picking up eliminations from here on out. As Pyla and NPen, they're no strangers to eliminations. Pyla already has one. Trying to take the piece control, but goes around instead. Takes down Fred. Huge siphon and refresh. He sees NPen in a fight. He gets taken down. Gutterleaf versus Bylaw here.
This is not good. A 1v1 situation now here at the Breakwater Bay. I'll be honest with you, Jacob. As somebody who has loved my time playing this season, is Breakwater Bay a POI I think is worth 3 teams fighting for? I will be very honest. I do not think so.
I'm glad you think so. Same thing. Because I was thinking no, but I trust your judgment.
It's one of those situations that, look, Breakwater Bay, it's not got the best metal, it's not got the most materials of any POI by any means. It's not got the most actual loot of any of the POIs. Again, like you said, it's one of those sort of outskirt POIs. Look, I don't get it, but clearly the players feel like it's something worth fighting for. I think when you look at their positions in the standings, they don't reflect well on the POI. Nevertheless, somebody has to win this fight. I'm sure Byla, after seeing his former teammate Peterbot going crazy last game, will be hoping he can match that level as well.
Have to be careful though. Aaron and Naves are slowly but surely sneaking up. They might not have gotten an invitation to the party, but they're still gonna crash it nonetheless. Peak control almost going over. Great peek by Gutterleaf. Take the shields right down from Byla. It's going to force him back, force him to try to stabilize the situation, use whatever heals he has to try to get back on up. But the speed play is in. They're crouching. They're trying to minimize the audio cues that they're giving out. Byla and Gutter have to be careful because it doesn't matter in this situation because they both have the potential to go down.
Going to try to use that Excalibur rifle when connect. And that's going to be huge. It's going to give him that incentive to push on. But he needs to be careful. I think he realizes there is a duo behind him. That's going to be Naves and Aaron. We've not had the best of days, and so realizing with all of the things going on here at Breakwater Bay, maybe there's an opportunity for a third party. There certainly is. Got a lethal fort, and it looks like Byla's next. He has nothing to answer when it comes to Naves and Aaron. Strolling in, making it look nice and simple.
For Naves and Aaron, who are kind of in that same situation, the lack of metal resources, they got all those refreshes, all the siphon mats. So they got to be looking good at this situation, especially you count in the search that they just got as Rokane and Joji. A little bit of a split drop here on this side of the map. They're just looting up so they get themselves a better position. But Edgy and Miro slowly sneaking in. They heard all the commotion going down, fight after fight finishing, and this is their chance to get their own surge. Only 10 points so far. This is, again, another team you wouldn't expect to be in this position.
You can see Edgy and Miro playing it very slowly. Looking to try set up sort of a pinch, both of them attacking from different angles. And they will have to be patient with the opportunity. And it looks like Miro felt the opportunity was there. Takes a shot onto Aaron. Maybe he could have waited out just a bit longer, because they have now had time to sort of get their shields back up to a decent point. Of course, still not aware of Edgy's positioning, and so this is going to be huge for Edgy. Can he hit a big shot? Not too shabby. I'm sure he would have wanted more. Of course, not easy with that red eye from close range.
I like this though. Edgy slowly but surely trying to back off, doing what he can because he doesn't want to get pushed by them too. He's separated from Miro. All it takes is a split second of separation for them to try to pounce, try to attack, and take advantage of the numbers game. But Edgy, he's been in this situation before. He has one of the biggest brains here in the stage. He knows exactly what to do. He's backing off. But there's another team slowly but surely sneaking in.
Is there something I'm missing here about Breakwater Bay? Why is everyone so attracted to this POI?
I don't know. It's like a vacation home down here or something where everybody kind of relaxed. The zone did pull over here to see the replay. Over towards Shatter Slabs. Gilix and Owl. That's going to be a huge shot on the DJ who falls again, leaving Muzz by himself.
I can't lie, you got put through the wax there. I cannot lie. I was looking like some creative montage stuff right there.
They're trying to get things going early on. Throughout the 2 days, they finished very high. I know watching one of their games during replays, I was trying to research as much as I can. They got a massive amount of eliminations and a victory royale in one of the last ones, and that's the type of momentum you like to carry in, the confidence you like to build going into the third and final session as Pledge is trying to break through, take control of these pieces, trying to catch somebody off guard. Finally get to the box. Piece control is going over, edits the piece, takes down the player, 4 more points to their total, and a bunch of confidence really begin to build up.
I love that from Pledge. Just as he peeks around that corner, placing the stair there, blocking off the angle, the extra precaution. It goes a long way, of course. And now, back to Breakwater Bay and all the amazing things happening at this POI. So many players here in the Storm now. But is there any real winner from this situation? Looks like Edgy is trying to leave. I don't think Trashy's going to let him get away with it too much. Aaron and Naves, of course, will feel like they can get in on this one as well. But teams now at least starting to make their way towards the safe zone. Still have a ways to go as it closes.
Trade-off right there. Aaron seeing it all go down in the distance, getting a knock on the Pump. Edgy got down early on. Pump still down. Trashy can still try to go ahead and break out, get the res, but that other team knows that they're there. And now they have the choice, though. They can go ahead and try to continue the third party, make their lives that much harder, or they got the surge. They already got their elimination, so they can go ahead and focus on that rotation to zone. And it does look like a possible reboot card was picked up. Nero's trying to get out. Anything can happen here.
Yeah, for sure. Trashy, I'm sure would maybe think he can pick up his teammate and get things back on the road. Again, one of those really awkward. You do see situations like that where you have a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different parties, all sort of vying for the same thing, right? They want to deal damage because they know Storm Surge is going to be an issue later down the line. But it isn't that simple at times.
Nothing's really ever that simple here in Fortnite. And that's the thing, you can't get lost in the sauce, you can't tunnel vision. Kanata just takes a huge amount of damage from the side, but that's not too much to worry about. Agers wasting no time, going hip to hip. They know exactly what to do in these scenarios, how to hold the walls when somebody is under pressure, as Booga and Peterbot, they're immediately trying to go over.
Yeah, and of course, one of the bigger parts of this season has been the augments. Mini Miner, can you tell us, how are these players using augments to their benefit?
They're using them very effectively indeed. Now we have Gold Duck right here using the aerialist augment to speed up those mid-game rotations. We can see on the minimap on the bottom right, they're not actually in the safe zone, but this aerialist augment just allows them to go through the zones a lot quicker. So expect to see this team in a good position.
Thank you, Mini Miners. Quick breakdown. Catching us up with some of the things we might have missed, might not have known. And I like that. I like the aerialist because if they're able to make it towards endgame, they can make daring acrobatic plays, taking high ground and immediately trying to give it up. They can bait players into unfavorable situations knowing they have an escape plan in their back pocket.
Peterbot back on our screens here. I'm a big fan of this duo, and I'll tell you why, Jacob. I feel like I've seen this before. And you might be thinking, what is this Levin guy waffling about? Please shut up, Levin. Like, what are you saying? This is the first season they're competing with each other. No, I'm not talking about NA. I'm talking about EU. Don't get mad at me. But this duo reminds me a lot of Tayson and Thomas HD way back in the day when they teamed up, where you have the person who on their region is considered a respective GOAT, Tayson, the parallel there being Booga. You have Peterbot, who the parallel being to Thomas HD, just the guy. You know when you have the guy, Peterbot is that guy, Thomas HD has always been that guy on EU. And I do think, though, the difference with Booga and Peterbot is that they can probably do what Tayson and Thomas were never able to do last year, and that is win an FNCS championship. A very, very impressive team, and a formula that definitely could work, and it's been working so far today.
From one impressive team to two more, Clicks and Donnie, Kanata and Adris, box to box, wall to wall. Kanata trying to go for that piece control. He's going to get at least one, forcing clicks back into the same box as Donnie. The trick is right now is they're barely flirting with that Storm Surge threshold. 40 below, 27 above. Another team sneaking by, though. You have to be careful. If you don't watch out, Angers, you could be taken down. That's Collapse. Sneaking by. And I like this right now, Kanata. Even though Agers is on one side, Kanata's just honestly always getting that information. You always got to be doing something here in Fortnite.
Yeah, got to stay proactive. Can't sit idle and twiddle your thumbs together. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to start moving. Of course, have the shockwave hammer to do so. And as always, Kanata hitting some shots, but taking some damage as well. The chug splashes will allow him to get back up if need be.
Probably waiting, saying, hey, before I use my splashes, he's probably letting Agers take his shots. That way, if he gets tagged up, they're optimizing the actual splash usage. But you got to be careful. If you get pushed, you only have 100 HP at that moment in time, as Dubs and Accept trying to peek through, get themselves some elevation. They know there's so many teams on the outside of zone. Even though they're 200 above the damage threshold, there's always room for more surge.
Yeah, and there will be opportunities for them to get tags from where they're sitting at. Of course, Agers and Kanata still in the zone, trying to make their way in and just barely making it sort of under this natural ridge in the map. And it's going to give them the space and time that they need to get their heals back up. But to be honest, for a team that's been so impressive today, they look depleted, and this refresh would go a long, long way. If they can pick up claps, which is exactly what they'll do, it could be the key to keeping them in this game. It's definitely going to be worth to run into the storm to get his loot. But there are eyes on it, so Kanata's going to have to use those builds, guarantee that he's not, you know, getting too greedy by any means.
Warrior and ABN, so much high ground. So it's very interesting to see that they're 59 below the damage threshold, trying to out-heal it, using a lot of their minis, trying to save the splashes to the last moment. Donnie's going to go down to Paul. Clicks is out as well to Ducky. They probably got focused there just a little bit as Edgy and Miro. He got him back into the game. Second chance at life here. What can you do with that second opportunity?
Well, what they need to do with the second opportunity right now is head to zone. But they don't really have much by way of HP. The med miss will get Edgy back up. We obviously saw how much they were struggling earlier. And to get back into this game, I'm assuming it's going to have to be some sort of a big box fight, right? They're going to have to get on the offensive, catch a team out, and just hope that they can hit the jackpot, right?
Sounds easy.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, I was about to say, sounds easy, but you know as well as I do, everything is much harder in Fortnite. Like the mirror, everything is larger than it appears. As Joji and Rokane, the only team other than Kanata and Agers to place top 10 in the first two games. And that goes to show it's not all about the victory royales. Consistency beats out more times than not, as Illis has the Peely's Plunder treasure map, but he's down 86 below the damage threshold. And this is where it goes to where he might not be able to pick and choose his battles here.
Yeah, the weird thing is that his teammate is actually behind these guys in terms of names and Aaron. His teammate's by the gas station. So even though he's alone, Slacks is just sort of behind that. Oh, dear.
That's first place.
Okay.
That's
Agers down. Kanata now has to make a big, big play. But even if he is able to survive here, this game's flipped on its head. Playing as a solo from this point on is going to be a very difficult task, even for a player of Kanata's level. But Dubs and Accept, they've done the world of good in terms of trying to further their campaign in this tournament, taking out one of your top competitors.
And that was a miracle find because they didn't have that shockwave hammer moments ago. Now they're using it to get the zone. Kanata trying to be hot on their heels, getting tagged up from all over on the lobby. Dropped down to about 76 HP, trying to pause, find some stability where he picks what the next move is going to be because he's still outside of zone. He's still below the damage threshold. He's still following this duo. He's out for revenge here, but he's going to find that sweet spot right above him inside of zone and try to toy with it here. 118 below the damage threshold. He still knows in the back of his mind, I have to be proactive.
Out for revenge or looking for trouble, it's all about how you interpret it. The question is whether or not he will survive. He's used all of his metal now. Just has the one build left. And now when he's trading in these kind of situations, it doesn't look good. He's not going to be able to out-heal. They know that he's down bad, and so they'll just continue to spray up. It looks like it's going to be the end of the game for Kanata here. That's the first place team, and so an opportunity for anybody in the lobby to catch up, and one of the teams who'll certainly be looking to do that is right here on our screens, Dubs and Accept. Saxon, Illis, They've gotten together. They've closed the distance, but no further in actually trying to beat out Aaron and Naves. They're the ones on the back foot, and Aaron and Naves knows it. Playing very patiently, but needs to stay together. Can't afford to get lost in the sauce.
Above the damage threshold, they know defensive is going to be the key here, especially since they know they already got the knock onto Illust. Slack by himself, under siege, a little bit of HP. They're trying to break through. Slack's doing what he can, backing down little by little. You got to imagine, below the threshold, Slack's probably getting barely above, tries to peek, gets punished. Aaron and Naves get not one, but two of those eliminations.
They needed that, right? They were obviously up above Surge, but didn't really have any metal. Naves just picked up about 400 there, right? For a big elim for them for the rest of this game. John and Suscript here, they have a chance to really start to take up a lead on that leaderboard and gain a bunch of points as some of their top competitors are down.
But this right here is the moment. I like what you're saying. They have a chance, the potential to take to the top side of the leaderboard, but they're 88 below the damage threshold. The next moves they make could decide the future of them very, very soon. As they continue to stout, playing patient. They know all these players around, peeking for Surge, shooting the shots just like they are. They're waiting for somebody to slip up. And they're separated. That might be the move that they can make, as Rokane and Joji knows they're in a similar spot, 219 above. They can play exactly how they want because they know they're not forced to peek.
Yeah, this is going to be big. Joji, Rokane, they see something, and they actually are going to be able to profit off of it. And again, not getting too greedy. They really need to be cautious. There's a lot going on. They, just like us, will hear all these shots, all these fights taking place. Maxo just below that. Got to think he'll be caught out eventually. So much is going on. This is very chaotic right now, Jacob.
They're doing a good job, though. Suscript and John, throughout all the chaos, surviving. Still 83 below the damage threshold, which isn't much, to be honest. A couple of well-played shots with that red-eye assault rifle would definitely put them above. There goes 28, but they're still below, taking damage. They have to figure out what they're going to do to get the next 54. Peeking through the same hole. Storm Surge still ticking them up, trying to out-heal. No more splashes on the Sudscript. Somebody pushing into the box. That could be the recipe that they needed, because even though they got aggressed on, they landed the perfect shot to put them above the threshold.
I like that from Sudscript. Hitting a big shot just when they needed it. And needs to keep on doing that. The angle isn't too favorable for him, and so we'll take a chunk of his HP. But this is exactly what they want. An opportunity to keep them in this game, but the pressure from Vert and Walkers is relentless. It's causing them issues. And they also have to start planning their rotation, right? They aren't in the zone, they will have to get there. For teams who are maybe looking a bit better for that, Miro and Edgy, they have the hammer, and so they know they can get to zone anytime they want, and the time is now. Gonna land towards Booga and Peter, but maybe even look to get in on them. Looking for that all-in play. I don't know if that's a duo you want to do it to, though.
That's not one I would want to take on, as Booga is able to take down Edgy, making them instantly regret that decision. And it was Booga, of all people, not even letting Peterbot get in that one, as they do have 2 eliminations, 374 above the damage threshold. For them, it's business as usual.
Yeah, look, you're going to see all around the lobby players jumping into boxes, because they are very, very desperate. But there are certain boxes you just don't want to walk into. Players falling left, right, and center. Vert and Walkers who have done a good job of being the aggressors, the instigators so far this game. Now maybe running into some trouble themselves. They've got the eye of some of the lobby. Miro, who obviously just lost Edgy a second ago now, is going to have to try and plan out the rest of this game with, what, just 12 builds? As great of a player as he is, he's going to need a lot more than that.
I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little bit worried about Miro, but at the same time, I'm waiting, because at a moment's notice, he is the type of player that can pop off. You see the zone, a stacked south side, but that is also the front side of zone. So anybody that's stacked towards the back side, they probably have to wait for everybody else to begin to rotate and then shockwave their way there.
And for Rokane and Joji, Rokane just scouting out, figuring out where exactly is safe for them to be able to use their hammer. They don't want to run into too much. You can see Vert and Walkers, though, they have the prime positioning to hold on to height here as they build on towards this hill. And for the teams in this lobby, if you want to have a good game, you want to be one of the first ones to get up on this hill. And so for Coop and Hide and Seek, they need to start planning their way and getting up. Dubs and Xcept are doing a brilliant job, though. This is where you want to be. You don't want to be the teams stuck down below, late to rotate upwards. Because if you are, the likes of Vert and Walkers up on height will be ready to pounce, ready to take you out.
And honestly, this is where Forecast, and this is why Vivid said it's probably one of the best augments in the game right now, because not only does it go up and over the mountain, it goes right back down below. So if you're trying to pick and choose your spot, you got to be careful, just like Dubs and XF under siege, under pressure. The bounce outside of zone, but a shockwave hammer into the hands of Dubs, send him right back in. Jamper's down. It's all up to Paper. 10 HP. He gets sent back to the lobby as Joji's trying to do the same. Road Kane went down. It's all up to him as a solo.
Yeah, it's not looking too great. But you never know what Joji can do. He can always make something happen. He has his eyes set on people. He sees people moving, and that might be his cue to start moving his way on as well. The hammer will allow him to do so. Needs to make sure he stays out of the line of sight of and Walker taking a shot along the way. But they're the holders of height, getting chopped out though, as you do so often this season. Just need to hold on though.
Yeah. They have the builds. They're getting challenged by Peterbot himself, Booga as well. They're doing just enough. Shockwave hammering to the front side of zone, and guess what? Height is still theirs. Rain and Boogas.
Booga and Peterbot, they weren't just happy with that first place in the previous game. They want another one. And so they'll look to try and play from height. We'll keep following that. Joji, though, we saw his journey as a solo, and it will sadly come to an end. Noxy and Okis waiting in the front side of the zone, looking back at all of these players, and are very, very comfortable. They now have to make a move, though. And as they look to make their move, they see to find themselves in the same position that they were capitalizing on others, stuck in the zone, stuck in the dirt, stuck in the ice, sent back to the lobby. Dubs and next step will pick up another. They see all that loot there, and they see another player. They're going to keep taking shots.
Brave move by Scare, but he had no other option, trying to heal. Booga still holding on to that high ground. Peterbot going to the backside of zone, trying to cover and making sure that they're set, but they're only just on one layer, and that's why Peterbot's going to go forward, build ahead, get that height, and try to secure it for him and Booga. 6 teams left. This is definitely theirs for the taking.
And this zone has been so awkward for all of these players that are down below. Having to slip and slide across the ice, and sliding into the wrong box is going to cost you, and that's exactly the fate that Vert faced. Walking right into Dubs. He's got 6 already this game. He is on one.
You said it yourself, Peterbot and Booga looking to go back to back, and he's not only going to take part in it, he's going to try to take it by force, dropping down just enough to try to get the extra resource. You see him building up to protect Booga, but Shockwave Hammer right back on down. The challenge against Dubs. Peterbot is going to go ahead and try to solidify himself. The patience, this man can attack anything, but he knows when and where to do it.
We just saw him in this position a bit earlier, but this time he has Booga with him, so there's going to be even more confidence. Proof and hide and seek. We saw them making brilliant plays earlier, cerebral in their attempts, and doing the same here, down low on Max. And so in this final sort of zone, they do have to hit big shots if they want to do it. Peterbot is ready and waiting though, and so making sure to build up. Don't want to lose height, don't want to get too excited, because there are still some top teams in this. Dubs and Except. Coop now playing as a solo, and now all about hitting these crucial shots. Except will fall, Dubs will fall as well, it seems, as Booga and Peterbot are making him pay. Will they connect to the final shot? Having to drop down though for a second and use them chug splashes to heal, but you've got to think it's a matter of moments.
Game 2, they had 8 eliminations in the Victory Royale. Game 3, they have 8 eliminations, picking up more to 9 and going back to back. These guys are looking to just lay down and take over the game and have it be their throne. They are the kings right now of NA West, and they're daring anybody to challenge them.
We do not sing their praises for nothing. This is a serious team, and this is not just, you know, a top performance from them. This is a serious warning to the rest of NA East. You cannot mess with these guys. They will make anybody and everybody pay. What a game. To start the game off a bit slow, and then roll through and just stop the whole lobby. What a duo. I am so impressed.
This is looking like their day 1 of the qualifiers, even to make it to this point. Almost 100 eliminations in that session 1 alone. It made it to where they didn't have to go all out. They didn't have to spend too much energy yesterday. They're saving it all for today. And what a plan that is. These guys cannot be stopped right now.
I just love how Peterbot makes some of the most intense high-action moments look like just a creative warm-up, making it look easy. I don't compare these guys to some of the best players of all time in other regions for no reason. They are really them guys, and they're showing it here today.
Yeah, and I think that comparison was almost perfect. I know tomorrow, EU, they're going to probably be looking at us saying, hey, what about that comparison now? But for Booga and Peterbot, there's nothing to compare them to. But let's see what other great things have happened during that last game. Zeke, Vivid, Taco, break it all down.
Thank you all so much, as always. Halfway through here, NA East, my goodness. These guys are talking about comparing. I'm going to be really bold here. Okay. I feel like this duo is a lot like Vino and Queasy. Now, I know what you're saying. Whoa, Zeke, whoa! Listen, let me contextualize. This duo specifically, Booga and Peterbot, it feels like Booga is like the eye in the sky. He's just waiting. And he's like, okay, Peterbot, right there. And then Peterbot's like, oh, sick, let me jump down. All right, sick, I'm coming back. You know, like, it's that kind of dynamic that these guys remind me a lot of. So it's cool to see that. I mean, after game 3, points speak for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I'm looking all the way at the top of the leaderboard, and Peterbot and Booga are finding themselves up there. But there was just so much about this game that I actually liked and myself learned. First of all, Peterbot and Booga shown us that the Shockwave Hammer, we talked about it in games number 1 and 2, it was really, really hard for teams to hold height because of the Shockwave Hammers. Booga and Peterbot just kept hopping from high ground to high ground, making sure that they stayed at the front of the zone, so that way nobody at the back of zone could knock them out. But then it was also like, usually when we watch these high ground teams, they get caught up in applying pressure sometimes. But no, Peterbot and Booga looked like they were just constantly ready for anybody that was going to Shockwave Hammer up, and it was the perfect counter to that.
A lot of discipline exemplified here as well from Peterbot specifically, because he had instances where he could have gone for the finish on the elims when he was able to find those knocks in those final moments, but he chose to stay cool and composed. He waited for the perfect moment to actually strike, and he looked like he was out there on a firing range for a hot minute.
Love to see it. In third, Hide and Seek and Cooper. I mean, these guys also just putting on an absolute show for us here in NA East. Sitting pretty in third place, and I mean, I just love that we get to see kind of more names highlighted.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, and that's on the back foot of them also utilizing the hammer very, very well. I mean, Cooper getting caught off guard here, making himself get all the way into this end game, and it's a really bold strategy to actually go out into the storm with the hammer, right? It's always a bold strategy to go into the storm, but he knows that he has enough charges to kind of make that play, make sure he lives just a little bit longer, and then come right back with it.
Again, though, it's just another fantastic solo clutch coming out of Cooper, and this duo, they can just trust in each other, and, well, I think that Seek has a lot of faith in Cooper at this point, because first he made it to 5th, now to 3rd, and it just continues to help them climb, because that's a +9 on the leaderboards.
So good, man. Just so much talent here in NA East. One of my favorite things to see. Now, we do have a very special guest joining us here in just a moment. It is none other than Tokata. Hello, buddy.
Hello, how's it going? Great. I mean, it's been amazing so far. Thank you so much for having me.
It is great to see you, my friend. How are you enjoying things so far? I know we've kind of announced this global championship, and you got kind of like a little bit of a taste of that at Invitational. Are you excited for the global championship?
Look, words can't even describe my excitement. I use the same phrase in Invitational, and seeing the hype from the audience, from the community, from the players internationally, I mean, players from Asia representing Middle East, I mean, it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and with the global championship being announced, I can't wait to see who makes it there, and I mean, how the competition rolls out.
So, Takata, how are you and your watch party enjoying the game so far, though?
It's been crazy, right? We've seen some clutches. I mean, Peterbot has been popping off. We have some big names like Kanata Agers doing great. Overall, I mean, there's been some insane clutches. I'm loving it, but I really want to see who kind of ends up coming out on top. I mean, this is week 1 of the qualifiers, so.
Yeah, and quick question before we let you go, and I don't want you to say forecast. That's way too easy of an answer. What is your favorite augment right now in Fortnite?
Look, that's a good question. I could go for like the combination, getting the light fingers and pistol lamp to kind of make the pistol be a lot stronger. But I think I'm going to have to pick Danger Hero because it's so useful when you do get cracked to get that little bit of extra mobility and your health getting regen. So if I can't say forecast, I'm going to have to say Danger Hero.
And what are you looking forward to in the last like 3 games here? Is there anything that you're maybe like hoping to see that we haven't seen yet?
Look, I'm glad you asked because we've seen a lot of the Titans perform, right? The Peterbot, the Agers, the Kanata, but there's a duo that, you know, I'm interested in. It's Costa, who's representing Argentina, and his duo partner Zeus representing Mexico. You know me, you know how I like supporting my Spanish-speaking friends, so I want to see them do a comeback. They're not doing the best right now, but they're halfway up that leaderboard, and if they get a few good games, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them at the top.
That's awesome. Well, Tokata, thank you so much for your time, buddy. We'll be seeing you here for weeks 4 and 5 of Major number 1. Man, I love Tokata so much. But we have 3 more games left to go here. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm kind of in love with the Shockwave Hammer. I said it. I said it.
We've seen a lot of plays around him. I mean, a lot of chaos going on, a lot of plays being made, and I can't wait to get like three more times of that.
You know, everybody's entitled to an opinion, Zeke. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Wow. Anyway, you know what, Cameron, just come here. Yeah, just ignore Taco. Hey, guess what? Game number 4 is upon us, so we ain't got to wait much longer. Let's get into it.
We are at the halfway point. 3 very, very entertaining games thus far, and 3 question marks to come, right? But what I can tell you about these question marks is that they will be very intense because so many of these teams now are looking very, very good going into the last 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of threes going around, and for Booga and Peterbot, they're trying to make it that 3rd victory royale on the day.
Imagine.
Dude, I don't have to imagine. I think they have the best chances to make it happen. They kind of tossed away a team right out of the gate. They're no longer being contested, and now they can pick and choose. Do I want a third party that or not? But luckily for us, we don't have to wait long to find out because game number 4 starts right now.
Game number 4. Who will it be? We've just witnessed 2 victory royales from Booga and Peterbot. Will it be the 3rd for them? Will Acorn and Cold finally win off spawn at Slappy Shores? Who's going to come out on top over here, right? At Lonely Labs, Macquid and Frets, one of the better height teams in this lobby, have a difficult task on their hands as they have to win out of spawn. Lonely Labs, one of them interesting POI. It's a bit different to some of the other ones we have around the map. And a repeat may be here. With Yomzo and Rise looking not too good off spawn.
We threw the number of 3 around, and this might be the 3rd time. They go down very, very early. They need to be able to pull it back, and Acorn doing it well on the other side of the map. But no, Rise gets denied again. Braids and Moo are just taking over this landing spot, calling it theirs, but Cold is down at the top of the factory. Hide and Seek is doing just that, trying to play hide and seek to stay alive. I do believe Acorn is going to be able to get the res.
Yeah, there's a sliver of hope finally for this duo. We might finally get the chance to watch Acorn and Cold play out a full game. But as I say that, it's none other than the lobby boss, the lobby king, walking through and causing issues. Peterbot running in a big shot onto Acorn. And in the one game where they might finally have won their spawn, they have the best duo in the lobby rolling on through. This is just so difficult to watch if you're a fan of Acorn and Cold. Cold finally being a limb, and Acorn just waiting for the inevitable, it seems.
Called him the lobby boss. Now I'm waiting for him to just take a POI, spawn with a mythic weapon, and hopefully everybody's just kind of trying to take him down because
any shotgun is a weapon in the hands of
that's
Peterbot.
exactly. He's going to get the mythic thunder. That's just give it to Peterbot, put him in the game because he deserves it the way he's playing right now. And he's already hunting for the next one. Spots out Acorn. A defensive wall going up. But a defensive shot by Peterbot. Over 100. Tagging and taking down Acorn. 50 more. Impulse is going around, but they don't work like Shockwave. You can't break through the build. Acorn under siege. It's only a matter of time before Peterbot strikes again.
Oh, look at how he's antagonizing him. He's already eliminated him, and he just keeps shooting the floor.
Just need
a
to make
sign
sure.
of disrespect.
You just need to make sure.
Just make him sure.
Don't get up. Stop trying.
Oh, man.
This is our POI. Go somewhere else. And this is honestly the same exact start they've been having since game number 2 when they got that first victory royale. Because game number 1, they split it. They let him go on their merry way, and whatever happened, happened. Since then, they've been taking over as Nosh and Nut trying to do that same thing over here towards Anvil Square. And it already looks like Clicks is down, so Donnie's by himself, but he does have plenty of builds to work with, plenty of resources. He just has to find some separation between the two.
Donnie has to go huge here. It's not out of the possibilities, but when Nosh is piecing like that, it's never going to be easy. Donnie looks like he's going to have to say bye-bye. Nosh and Nut making things awkward, making things tough. Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness. And to take the L, just for the cherry on top, that is what you call clean.
That's what you call thinking inside of the box, as Threat's trying to capture the spot by himself at that. Macwood is going to be the one going down. He's trying to get everything he can, except in dubs. 172 points. They are out. This is game 4. The next highest is about 78 points down, if my math is correct. That's a big if, though.
I'll be real. I don't think your maths is correct. But the point still stands. because when the second place team is down like that, it is going to leave a gap, a window for all those players just beneath to waltz on through and get themselves involved. For Trashy, he doesn't have pump. He is going to look to select an augment.
Oh, I saw in the feed. I saw two things in the feed. Threats as a solo's making magic happen, and somehow Peterbot is down. Fredbot and Gutterleaf holding the low ground. Trashy's by himself. You know Pump is out. And I like this move by Trashy. He played around with it like he had the high ground. Immediately left, and there it goes. Hide and seek. Peeks at the right time. He takes out Booga as well. First place is out. Second place is out. If you wanted a miracle, you were granted it just now.
The top two teams in the lobby have just given a wide open window for anybody to waltz on in. Booga and Peterbot, who were looking so good, they were literally taunting Acorn and Cold. They now go down. Booga on the defensive. Peterbot 2 on the offensive.
Wait a minute, was this a 2v1?
No.
Hide and seek?
No.
Just 2v1?
No.
Booga and Peterbot? You have to come out on top after that, right? You don't take down Booga and Peterbot in a 2v1 and not win the game. As Threats, he already took down one himself. Now in a 1v1 scenario, shots coming in from the third party. 1v1 against Albanian, and Threats stands up tall. Now he's gonna get the reboot and get everything to himself from Lonely Labs.
I'm still in awe of Hide and Seek.
If I didn't see the replay, I wouldn't have believed it.
What is he cooking?
Let him cook. Just let him
I'm gonna let him cook. We all gotta let him cook. Who's gonna stop him? If he's taking out
I'm not getting his pad.
If he's taking out Peterbot and Booga 1v2, who is gonna stop him?
You know what? If Trios goes around, I think I got my pick. If Trios goes around, I think I know who I'm gonna ask to try a trio with. Now Cooper's back. At first, second place is out. And guess who's now first place left in the lobby?
Wow, I'm just in awe. I am just in awe. This is not the story that we were supposed to be telling. Coming into today, everybody was thinking, oh, it's going to be either Peterbot and Booga, oh, it's going to be Acorn or Cold. Nobody gave that team a chance of coming out of Slappy Shores, and yet they're doing it. So we'll see if they can continue to. Anyway, the game must go on.
Nawson takes down Cooper in the feed. What is this madness? This is dreams and nightmares right before our very eyes as Tetra Zavoxy towards the low ground, playing cool, playing patient. You know, Bryce was right on top of them along with his duo. And then there's another team that they don't even know is there. Super high ground, ready to strike. Is Hide and Seek now under pressure. Can he go back to back 2v1s? He gets tacked up from one side. The luck has finally ended. Lightning does not strike twice. Flo and Nawson take him down.
I'm not an analyst anymore. I might as well not be, because I could not have predicted. There is nothing that could have prepared me to predict this happening here in Game 4. Wow, okay, so this is a even more interesting game now. Yeah, sure, we got some top dogs down, but the stakes are even higher for everybody else below. For Canada and Aegis, a big opportunity to reclaim their spot. These guys were in first place at a certain point, and a couple bad games has meant they've dropped off a bit. But nevertheless, there will still be a chance. Jamper and Paper, of course, will be hoping. We've seen Paper a couple times now in these end games. Solo clutching Jamper as well. Maybe if we can get a game with these two alive as a duo, then there'll be an opportunity for them to really start pushing the boundaries. Walkers and Vert sitting on 142 points. A big, big game for them if they could do it.
You can already see it about. Okay, that's about 80 points. That's about 80 points.
Trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah. My math was a little bit shaky before, but after watching Booga and Peterbot and the downfall in this game, you got to imagine what everybody's got to be going through. Scott Script and John Valenzuela, you've seen them very, very early on in the previous games towards Shattered Slabs and these other POIs, and this time around, they don't have those early game eliminations, so they're going to have to worry about Surge sooner rather than later.
Yeah, TK and Pledge sitting in that top 10. Of course, they've got Peely's Plunder, they've got that Org winner, so if they follow the map and get that loot, they will be very prosperous after that.
Playing that passive game. They got their 2 eliminations. Oh my gosh, that red eye assault rifle doing a ton of damage. Dropping fast down 19 shields. We're finally getting around that cover, using the natural terrain to block some of those shots, switching seats. Teamwork making the dream work between him and Pam, and that's where he's going to be able to splash him back up. They see another fight going on in the distance, and this is where, as they continue to go around, they're now putting themselves on the slow side of zone, and the slowest at that.
And the benefits of that, right, of course, is that gives them a bit more time as they rotate in, and there typically aren't going to be as many players lurking in this area right now. If they keep on moving towards the north, though, they will run into this fight eventually, where Slacks and Illist are facing up against Mars and his duo.
Slacks and Illist, 12th place that is left alive in the lobby right now. 76 points, with a lot of our top competitors going down early. We've already talked about it. Perfect chance for everybody really to catch up, along with Muzz, who has lost Degen yet again. Looking like a solo warrior here, trying to put on the shots, trying to get some damage. As a solo, it's very hard to gather that surge and then keep your identity as a solo hidden.
Yeah, it's always going to be a tough task, right, for anybody in that situation. And especially when you have a teammate as good as Degen, you're always going to wish you have him by your side. Nevertheless, Muzz is very capable, but it is going to be very difficult. The thing is, though, now, we do have a switch-up, Jacob. Miniminer, he's a bit too busy for us now. He's big time. But instead, we've got our boy Vivid, who's going to be giving us some updates. So, Vivid, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Mini is a busy man, but somebody else that's busy is Threats. He's actually in a 1v2 situation all spawn, but he prioritizes the capture point at the POI to make sure that he gets enough loot to make this 1v2 happen. And then right there on the back foot of that, hits the clean, heavy shotgun shot, which a lot of people forget about because it's overshadowed by that Thunder shotgun sometimes, but he makes it happen. Let's see if they can carry this momentum into the end game.
That is huge for a player like Threats, to where he's been in some of the biggest stages. He's been in some of the biggest events of them all, and that's just building his confidence, saying, hey, I can do it yet again. And there's a team that needs to build up that confidence, and they've already done so right out of the gate. Over 500 above the damage threshold, Kanata and Agers. That allows them the comfortability to rotate and focus on where they want to go in towards zone while trading off of the shots, building up that Storm Surge total even more.
Really impressive stuff all across the board. Oh my goodness, Walker. Okay. It's a shame that Vert's not up in this game, because this duo has been very good. And of course, we talked about how they have a chance to, you know, start bridging that gap. The chance is lessened with Walker's just being a solo. But never count him out, especially if you can hit shots like that. He needed to hit it though, right? Barely above that threshold. But it's a shame, because this would have been the best game for them to both be up as a duo, doing what they've been doing all day long.
Yep. 138 points for Rokane and Joji. This was a brilliant switch up by them, because during the last Elite Cup, they were just not having their best day. They were getting taken down early, third partied. It took them to about like the third or fourth game to even get on the board in terms of points. And now look at them. A total 180, 138 points, top of the leaderboard at that. Now they just need to remain consistent, just like Threats and Macwood getting that second chance. You saw Vivid breaking down. Macwood is back. He has to thank Threats for that. So everything here is bonus, because look at that, 632 because of that 2v1.
Yeah, huge plays from Threats, and that's exactly what you can expect him to do. A spectacular player when he's in his mood, and clearly in that mood today. I do want to see them get back to playing up on height in these end games, so that's where I like to see them. That's where they're most comfortable. That's where they're most effective. Edgy taking a chunk to his effective HP. Does have some minis and chug splashes though.
Jock and Qual. A lot of these teams finally making it out of the gate this time around. And that's the thing. You know as well as I do. As long as you can make it that mid to that end game, you can start to pick up, stack together those points. Okus and Noxy, 108. They got the Shockwave Hammer. They have height. They have the survey of the land, gathering that information, figure out what is that perfect rotate going to be. And honestly, because of where they're at, they can wait to that last possible moment, Shockwave Hammer to the center of the zone, and not have to worry about much. Just like John Valenzuela and Susscript. Only thing to me that they might have to worry about is if Subscript doesn't have that Shockwave Hammer. They're staggering themselves too far back. They're finally going to go. The shots finally come in. They get peeked on by that solo player into the distance who desperately needs the surge as well.
Yeah, it's going to be super important for them. The specials, though, will give them that bit of extra lead room as they keep on making their way in. Walkers taking advantage of the fact that there is still some nice big brick rocks here for him to farm. And now he can cap off there as he keeps making his way on in. Very much on the lesser congested side of the zone, so not having to worry too much about players being around him. We'll probably have a bit of a free rotation getting in the meantime. Conti and Slam, another one of those teams, Jacob, very high up in the standings, who does stand a chance of, you know, bridging that gap between the top three.
But only 43 above. Some may not say it's much, but it's just enough to allow them to focus on the rotate, not have to force themselves into a weird spot just to get the shots. Just like Illis and Slack, they have the high ground. They have the perfect spot to get the surge, but they still have to rotate in towards zone. Meanwhile, looking back behind, spotting that team on the high ground. Cheeky opportunity for Illis. That is going to be capitalized on him, but the return fire comes through. Illis gets tagged up. Threat spots him from the low ground. And then comes Slack to hold onto the covers. Teamwork at its finest.
Yeah, Illis and Slacks. They're going to have to start hitting some shots in fast. Macquid and Fretzo are building so much, so it's going to make it really awkward for them if they want to take shots. Going to have to try to sneak them in there. But Macquid and Frets are not invisible completely, right? They will still be seen at times. Oh, but Illis, you need to be careful, my friend. That is not a trade you want to be taking at all, especially when you're below. Now he's struggling to edit. The door edit comes up. You see a door edit come out at this level of Fortnite. You know something's wrong. Still, though, trying to make their way in and still looking to pressurize Frets and Macquid.
And you can already see the bush getting thrown down. The Bush Warrior perk trying to get him back up to 100 HP, 50 shield, 436. Threats and Macquid on the other side of that one.
The thing is, for Frets and Macquid, this is just so annoying, right? Because they're above on Surge, they don't need to be dealing damage. But now they're just burning mats, and they're sort of stuck here, right? If I was them, maybe I'd think I'd just tank the zone a bit and look to run around, and I think that's exactly what they may look to do. Because right now, Illis and Slacks are just causing issues. And they're not really benefiting anything out of this other than just a depleting mat count.
It feels like anybody that takes that top spot in the lobby in terms of the leaderboard that is left alive, they immediately go down. This is literally the perfect opportunity for anybody in a non-favorable situation to try to get ahead. And you can already see, not very many teams have to see, the Shockwave Hammer is the most commonly held specific item amongst teams that placed in the top 10. It's a necessity, and you can thank Taco for telling everybody in the world that.
Yeah, look, we keep on banging on about it, but if you've been watching, if you've been playing this season, it would have been very obvious to you that that is the case. The Shockwave Hammer is so essential. You can see here, all of our teams now, the ones that do have it, will be much better off as these games progress. And a quick update, right, in terms of just who's alive, who's doing what in the lobby. Walkers did actually fall, right? He was a solo, so the top 4 in the leaderboard are all down. Big opportunity for everybody, right? We keep seeing these massive switch-ups in the standings, and it seems like it'll be another game where that could certainly happen. Illis and Slacks not looking as bad as they were a couple moments ago, but still not looking good by any means. Not where you want to see them at all.
Even after all those annoying shots on the Threats and Macquid, they're still 21 below the damage threshold. Just like Gold, he has a little bit of comfortability when it comes to the surge. Not too much to worry about. Found a little bit of a supply drop. Plenty of different items to work with. Instead of using the launch pad, he's just quickly going to try to shockwave, get himself a better position, but still not in zone. Shots coming in. He becomes the focus of the lobby. Shields disappear right before our very eyes. Tries to fly high through the sky. Lives on a prayer right now. 2 HP and a dream.
The Shockwave Hammer got him out of dodge. But even in those situations where you are being lobby focused, right, you saw that he hammered, but he was just vulnerable in the sky. This is huge. Scare and Quanti. This is the team that is the next highest in the standings. This is the team that really needs to capitalize off this game. All of their top competitors are gone. But no, Scare will fall. And so Quanti now, he has to make something happen, but I don't think Naves and Aaron are going to give him a chance. They're going to keep running him down.
I think they got that loot right now. Seeing them try to run away, they're just going to take what they can. They're going to take their reward here and continue on with the rest of their game. There's no use in chasing. They already have a beautiful box set up here on the side of the mountain. They already have the storm surge necessary that they don't have to worry about it. They can just sit comfortably, let the rest of the game play out as Skittle towards the top, ABN as well. This is a must be in position for these guys. They must be able to capitalize on it. 823 above the damage threshold. All they need to do now is execute.
This is them playing a different version of Fortnite, right? This is the new 2D edition. They are having that bird's eye view. They see all in the lobby, sitting at the very peak of that mountain. And what a view it provides. For Canada and Ages, though, this is massive. One of those other teams who will certainly hope to capitalize. One of the few remaining teams that is high up in the standings that is looking somewhat together as a duo and not looking scuffed. Rokane, another game where he's not looking too good. Joji is down, and he's just now med-missing in zone, waiting for Spade and Chimp to leave him alone.
So many different layers to this next zone. Goes up to the highest point in the mountain, all the way down to the lowest point at the bottom of the mountain. Picking and choosing where you're going to be here is going to be important as Rokane trying to get into the zone. 160 points. The opportunity, he has it in his grasp. He just needs to be able to hold on to it. You can see just how different this POI is, and it's going to go drastically down Brutal Bastion, but luckily for them, there's not too many different cascading layers that they have to go through.
Yeah, and that's very, very good for the teams who were down beneath that hill. If the zone had pulled the other way and you had to go up that hill, it would have been awful. And this is awful. Ages has fallen, but fortunately Canada was able to trade, and so the revive will come off. The game is not all lost. Chimp and Spade don't seem to have an idea at all. Quanti, though, as much as he is a solo, he's not completely out of this game. Still looking strong.
17 splashes. He can definitely stagger himself back, wait for the zone to pull, and try to get there any way he can. But without the shockwave, his options are definitely going to be limited. Jamper and Paper, you can see the impulses going out. Anything is better than nothing. 3 different shield fish, some minis, and you can already see what's going to be used. Soaring sprints for Jamper, and Paper's there close by. They're trying to stay ahead of the zone. They don't want to go ultimate low ground just yet because they don't want to get caught in all that chaos and commotion.
But there are a bunch of old builds that people can use to recycle. This game is certainly a stack of Rokane. That's it, a big shot, but it's too much for him to handle. Canada and Ages, they might be looking to go on the offensive. They certainly would benefit from a refresh. The materials aren't looking too strong. The hammer will allow them to move forward in the zone. Fretz and Macwood just trying to create as much space as possible. Very, very tight quarters right now. Plenty of hungry players around them. And those chug splashes may go a very, very long way. Aaron and Naves, you've seen how much of a thorn in the side they can be for any team that walks into their path. The hammer just plowing through all those builds, moving them to the front of the zone. And now they're sitting comfortable.
I keep thinking this is just probably has to be at the top of my list. The favorite teams to watch perform. Jamper and Paper looking down, get the shot. Somebody sneaks in their box. That's going to be Canada. He's able to take down Paper. 1v1 against Jamper, but shots also coming in from the side. Canada trying to take advantage. Drop down to 8 HP. Danger Hero showing its true form. HP going up. The speed boost going to be able to get Canada out. Perfect plays between the two to try to take that position at the top of the leaderboard.
I am shook to my core. How is Canada still alive? Will he stay alive, though, is the question. He will. Unfortunately, Ages is down. Canada needs to go ballistic, but we know he can. Danger Hero once again coming in clutch. He needs to keep on moving into his zone. Can he take out Spade? He can! Canada doing what Canada does best. He's still in this game. 24 HP. Will he hit another big shot? Lurking out in the zone. The med missile getting back up. There are players, there are opportunities, there are shots to be hit. It's just about connecting with them.
And with no more shields, Danger Hero cannot be activated anymore because his shields will not be able to be cracked. 2 different shockwave hammers, though. Plenty of options, plenty of mobility to go up and over and leapfrog the rest of the competition. But he's looking for a refresh. He's looking for something to scavenge right now as everybody breaks out and breaks through the box. He's going to go ahead and catch somebody slipping here. The moment is coming.
The minis might just be his saving grace. No, he gets caught out. For a moment, he thought he had a second of cool, but he does not. ABN up on height. It looks like Fretz has dropped all the way down. And so he's going to be easy pickings for Edgy, who certainly did need that. Those builds will go a very, very long way as he plays his house. So Nelson will pick one up onto M-Pen. And so we're seeing players fall left, right, and center in this game. Still plenty more to be played.
Yep, into the top 7 we go. Bylaw's going to be by himself, but that's no worry for him. Chopping down Hype, bringing Nasen and Flo down to his level. Edgy trying to go ahead and find himself a crevice to work with. That way he could try to survive. Doing wonders throughout the first 3 games. They had 10 points. They've gotten over 100 points since then. Can they keep this momentum going as Macwood drops down to ultimate low ground? No build to his name, but he turns and burns, takes out Bylaw before falling himself.
Going out with a bang. That's how Macwood likes to do it. Nevertheless, Aaron and NAE will continue the journey. You can see up above, Hype really not having many issues here, but everybody's struggling. Down below, players in your face. You gotta hit a big shot. You gotta come in clutch. And unfortunately, some players just can't hack it.
The gap continues to close between everybody on the leaderboard. Low ground, Nas and Flo, Edgy by himself. Him and Miro trying to go ahead, but Warrior takes him down. Warrior and ABN versus Nasen and Flo, 2v2 for the game.
Who is going to connect with the big shot? Both teams somewhat evenly matched, but the zone is not in their favor at all. It's going to pull upwards. And so Nasen, they need to try to chop them out. They need to do something big, because if ABN and Warrior just hold on, you certainly think they could win this game. It is going to go just around. And so both teams can have a moment where they can just stay cool, not going to fight each other. Just stay cool, breathe, take a moment.
That's a blessing in disguise, because down low, I do believe I saw a ton of builds, a ton of resources to work with. And if they can make it over, they could probably zip line up. The options are theirs right now, and this one is going to take some time to settle. It's going to allow for Warrior and ABN to get any bit of resources up there, but it looks like they're almost fleshed out. There's barely anything to work with.
They need to get down, though. They don't have the mats and so a hammer to push themselves into the zone. They now need to make sure they glide their way back on in. Can they hit the big shots necessary? I think the Flow realizes, though, that they are just above, and so not going to be able to do it. A trade, though, and so ABN now in a 1v1 against Nasen, who will come out on top. Nasen has the med kit, and I think he's going to go for it now. He's just going to hold on. I don't think ABN realizes he's going for the heal off. He's trying to weigh it on out. I don't know what heals he has, though, and so it looks like Nasen might get the med kit off and just win out the whole thing. But will he be able to? ABN's still going. He's not taking damage to the storm. He's not getting ticked off at all. And so Nasen, unless he finds some sort of heals now, it's not going to happen. Are they going to collide? Who's it going to be? ABN dropping down, trying to use the hammer. Will he hit the shot? He connects, but not enough. They need to connect now. He needs to push on through. He needs to hit it. Time is ticking. No! ABN will fall. Nasen was just a moment away from being taken out as well, but just able to hold on. The medkit play was huge, Jacob.
That was executed to perfection. Take a picture, because I don't think you'll see something like that in a very long time. They're separated due to the natural terrain. And you think it's all over, high ground versus low, but the perfect med kit and then the 2 different med myths. Nasen had this one in the bag.
Wow. The med kit play, nerves of steel to hold on, right? Because if ABN had peaked, he was a sitting duck. Nevertheless, holding on, Nasen and Flo will take game 4.
But let's continue on with the story. From the beginning of the game till now, all of our top competitors going down and out, eliminated. That tosses the leaderboard into chaos.
Yeah, we honestly can't keep track of it. How could we possibly? So we're going to send it to the analysts. They're going to break it all down.
Thank you guys so much. Man, game number 4, the story of the top 3 going down means everyone else has breathing room. And my, oh my, quite the shakeup. Really quickly, let me introduce Mini Miner and, of course, our very special guest, Jenny Smiles. Welcome. It's great to have you guys here.
Thank you.
That game was wild.
That was absolutely an insane game. To see the top 3 teams go down before the first zone is absolutely crazy. Hide and seek coming in there and eliminating Booga and Peterbot. Mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. But, of course, that opened the door for some of our teams that were a little bit lower down. Canada and Aegis coming into this game. They were in 6th place, and they had a really, really solid game, but unfortunately couldn't quite make it right there to the end. Zeke, solid performance, though, from these guys.
And, again, you know, Aegis and Canada had amazing Storm Surge previously, so going into this, they're really comfortable endgame. It just looked like they were going to be fine. And Canada did stay alive for a lot longer than we even expected as a solo player in endgame.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. We talk so often about Aegis' solo clutches. We've seen it throughout the Elite Cups, throughout the qualifiers this season, even previous seasons. We've seen Aegis clutching up, but now it's time for Canada to take the step and take the plate for the solo clutches. He did it incredibly here, and even the danger hero augment coming in clutch.
Yes, that is true. I was going to pinpoint on the amount of eliminations he was able to get and the confidence he just had as a solo player is crazy. I loved it.
Oh, there he is. I love it.
Yeah, he's got to feel really great because, again, you don't have to get a victory out. You're just looking for consistency, right? And by himself, he does put up those numbers. We relook at our standings. Remember, we only have 2 games left here in week number 1. For Peterbot and Bugha, they're looking pretty good, right? All things considered, even falling early, they had enough of a buffer that they're still looking good.
Oh, yeah. Peterbot did an amazing job off spawn for sure. It was just unfortunate, hide and seek.
Yeah.
He got, I don't want to say he got lucky, but I mean, a 2v1 and just completely eliminating one of the, I would say, the top teams right now is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And we saw the confidence from Peterbot as we expected, but we almost saw a little bit of overconfidence, right? When hide and seek took out Bugha and Peterbot, we saw Bugha and Peterbot get a little bit too greedy for that elimination, and they ended up sort of just jumping in the box one by one. And when that happens, you isolate each player, and of course, hide and seek, you just take them both out. Not the greatest game for them, but they're still on top. I'm sure they'll be fine.
And I think another big thing to point out here is Floe and Nasen, right? Jumping up to 20 place, it's absolutely insane. And of course, for Warrior here in ABN, you just need one good game, right? These games and the way the point system works, it's very fluid. And a lot of these duos, when they saw the top 3 go down, they're like, oh, wow, the game is wide open.
Yeah, Warrior here, oh my gosh, taking that risk and jump into low ground, even though he had the augment. Yeah, he could still fly. He just wasn't able to, he wasn't able to pull through and actually get that elimination, which left his teammates trying to do it, and he wasn't able to either, unfortunately, even though they had high ground initially, which is usually more, more so gonna take over.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we want to touch on Storm Surge really quickly, okay? Because, again, it's just, remember, there's a lot of adapting that takes place when you watch these competitive style games, right? With a brand new season, new weapons, loadouts, and then knowing, okay, if this is a year thing, a global championship, how are we going to look to adapt? And so how is this all happening?
Yeah, so you have Joji taking a little bit of height, just, I mean, I wouldn't say like height necessarily, but, a little bit of an angle here with his build, and then you have a teammate below with using Bush Warrior, so he can still hold health, but getting different angles below, so they were able to get a little tags before Storm Surge.
Yeah, it's a really great point, because of course they're able to use the natural elevation that these sort of snowy areas have, right? We have so many of these little sort of mountains, even hills in this area that just give them that elevation, and they were able to use the sort of ravines that the players were sort of ravining through, they're sort of rotating through there, and they're just getting funneled right into Joji and Rokane, and they're just like, you know what, we'll just take this. Tag, tag, tag. There you go. Easy Storm Surge for them. It was like a farm. It was great.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm just enjoying all of the action here coming out of the competition. This is just week 1. Just think, there's still so much time for these players to develop their skill set, to develop the way we are going to look at the meta in the coming weeks. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all that transpires. With 2 games left, is there anything you guys are looking forward to seeing?
I'm just looking forward to seeing these players compete because they are this good. So I want to just get pumped up, and I want to see some of those top players perform like we know they can.
Yeah.
Will Bugha and Peterbot hold on? Will Canada and Aegis catch up? We'll have to wait and see, Zeke.
Bro, they can't make that mistake again, right? They just can't. But we're getting word it is game time. With 2 games left, who will be at the top after week number 1? Let's find out.
We're at the penultimate game. Just 2 more remaining. Who will do it? We're just going to hop right in, it seems, Jacob.
Yeah, I love it. Just no wasting any time. We saw the action unfold there in that last game. Opportunity struck. A lot of teams risen to the top of the leaderboard with our top contenders going down. And with that in mind, this has been one of the weirdest FNCS qualifiers, because this has been the most FNCS champions in the bottom 10 of the leaderboard, which goes to show that this is also the most newcomers towards the top of the leaderboard. It goes to show that roster changes worked out perfectly.
Yeah, certainly a lot going on. And the continuation of some of the stories we've been following throughout the day. Iomzo and Rice, this time we're tuning in and one of them isn't down, which is a good start, but we'll see if they can win this fight. It's not been the best of days for them. They started off so hot, and then cooled off very, very fast, and have stayed cool, ice cold, if anything, for the past 3 games. But a chance now, maybe, to get back in this one.
Something you don't see very often. Falcon Scout being used to try to figure out where exactly these players are. Probably getting the scan Much longer battle this time around than the last one, but you got to take note. That 109 points came in game number 1. One swift effort. They could do it again. If they imagine back-to-back victory royales, just like Booga and Peterbot in the final 2 games, they could be within reach.
Yeah, if I know Iomzo, which I do, I know that he will be very, very ready to go out and just win the game. If they can just, beat this one hurdle they've been tripping over the past 3 games, it would not surprise me at all. It would be the perfect story, wouldn't it? For them to just finally win off spawn and then go out and win a game.
Falcon Scouts versus Falcon Scouts. Hey, this could be that recipe right now, because all they need, you know as well as I do, whether they're getting the eliminations and the surge right out of the gate or just taking a while, playing that long, slow game plan. Iomzo and Rise have the ability, they have the attributes to play any style of game that they do want. And you can see Rise from Excalibur Rifle back to the Falcon Scout, trying to scan, make sure he knows where his opponent's at every step of the way, because him and Iomzo right now, that little bit of separation might just be enough.
Using it now to actually go about and figure out where exactly they are as Iomzo sits above here. And now they figured it out. What a shot. The heavy is perfect for those kind of situations. That angle lined up perfectly. And now, maybe looking to go on the hunt. Mu is incredibly low. They need to keep on putting on that pressure. It doesn't seem like Mu is ready for it by any means.
Another scan going out. Rise just using that one actually pretty well. Thinking outside of the box, a little bit of an unorthodox strategy. Probably showing everybody how to really utilize some of these new items here in the game. Splash and making sure him and Iomzo has tip-top shape here, ready for the next fight, the one that's inevitable, but a team sneaking up slowly but surely, trying to third-party this mix, and this is their opportunity too, depending on where you're down the leaderboard. Claps and Xenos might be down. They might need these elimination points just as well as Iomzo and Rise.
Yeah, they're going to just sit there and wait, right? When they start to hear both of these 2 teams fighting, that will be the trigger for them to push in. And if they can capitalize, it certainly will be great. I love this, though. This is exactly what you want to see the Falcon Scout doing, using it to just, deliver you some nice little materials, or whether it be loot, and bringing that shotgun there. They definitely would need that ammo. And an upgrade in the heavy shotgun is never too bad. Again, it's not something you see too often.
No, but they actually are using it to perfection, from both the scans to gathering the loot that is out towards the outskirts, but you can kind of see already on the leaderboard, from one game to the next, Xset and Dubs struggles do continue, but at least they're still towards the top side of the leaderboard, and they can still make magic happen in the last and final game.
Yeah, it's never going to be over until it's over, I guess, until game 6 rolls off, and then we just wait until next week.
I want to wait till next week.
Want to go again, and again, and again. Well, fortunately, there will be EU tomorrow, so be sure to check in for that. As this game continues, you can see Baila picking up Aaron now.
That's going to be a big elimination, but we can't see everything. We already said that. We got pieces here and there, but we use these replays of Hamsu and Fast to try to put together this puzzle. And there goes Dubs. He's out. Xcept is out as well. Pamsu and Fatch, 118 points to really start this game off. And they started against one of the best. It's Clicks and Donnie doing the same thing. Aggression right out of the gate, trying to put that pressure on to Polarize. Taken away piece by piece. He's trying to get out. Shockwave Hammer is going to allow him to escape with just a sliver of HP.
They have a Shockwave Hammer themselves. I'm surprised Clicks didn't instantly push in, but I guess staying patient is something you do like to see from this duo, because at the end of the day, they are better as 2 than just the 1. And once again, Polarize trying to get out of dodge, but he can run. He will never hide from these 2 when they are in this kind of mood. Both eliminations. And so now, an opportunity. Oh, this is so messy. Look at this. 4 of the better teams in the lobby right now, all here at Slappy Shores.
Dawson and Flo sneaking around. The most eliminations in a single game, with 12 with their victory in game number 4. Floating around, just waiting for somebody. And honestly, if you can kind of spot out the teams that are kind of not having the best day over towards Slappy Shores, and you're not having the best situation, hey, that could be a play. You rotate on over, you try to take over, but Cooper was pushed out. Acorn and Cold trying to follow, and they are so low on the leaderboard, they have to get these eliminations.
Yeah, be it Peterbot and Booga. Their main role in this battle is to try and third party once the teams are fighting, and so since they realize that's not happening, they're going to disengage a bit. Hide and Seek and Cooper are trying to disengage to the shoreline, and Acorn and Cold want to follow them. They want to chase them. Clearly, this is getting personal now. And so Nossen and Flo, they're just going to wait in the wings for this fight to break out. Still won't stop Peterbot and Booga from just taking shots from afar, making it awkward, encouraging them to just get the fight going. But I literally, this is so messy. 4 duos here right now. 3 of them are in our top 10. This is one of the most important battles that we're going to see, not just in this game, but in all of the 6 games today.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't even know if they know Nasen and Flo is there.
No, they don't.
So this could be a perfect cleanup opportunity. And they know, just because of the POI, the drop maps, that Booga and Peterbot got to be somewhere nearby, even if they don't see them. And that's exactly why you see their little arrows spinning around, trying to reposition themselves to a more advantageous position, as Acorn just hiding in that bush still. You don't know exactly where he's at, even if you know he's in there. Mega's going to go down. That's going to be a 2v1 as Quad takes down Justice as well. Maybe a little bit of help from Jock.
Maybe a little. Just a tiny bit. Any help will always be accepted.
Zone's not too far away, so they in theory, they could take a lot of time.
It is a bit of a stalemate, though, right? At the moment, you can see nobody really making any plays. And as they all just sit here, it doesn't really benefit anybody. In Booga and Peterbot's case, they can just sit here and farm. There's plenty of metal that they'll be able to get. They don't necessarily need to push up and take the bridge. Already, look, Booga already maxed Matt, so hey, look. They literally, you know, are fine in that aspect.
Wow. Just the 3rd duo in NA East with back-to-back victory royales during qualifiers. And they're a new duo. They haven't even reached their peak form, I don't think. I know there's plenty of FNCS this time around to kind of see them really take form, really come online to their full potential. As Okis is there, Rokane, Joji. We talked about how slow this one is going to be. They're just so far into the storm. Luckily for them, though, the zone is not too far behind. So no matter what happens here, win or lose, draw even, they don't have to waste much time getting into the zones where they can start regenerate health. But Cooper has no HP heals on him, so he has to figure out what he's going to do right now.
Cooper. It's going to be now or never. He knows there's a player waiting for him in the bush. But that is not the trade he would have wanted. Of course, Danger Hero is the augment he has, which is why he started taking that med mist effect, as his shields were cracked. And that's going to be good in terms of, you know, maybe if time starts ticking, they ain't got the white HP, he'll just peek a little bit, take a crack, and then get the med mist to put him back up. That would be the best way to stay alive in this situation, funnily enough.
I was thinking that same thing. I doubt that was intentional, but nonetheless, taking advantage, really utilizing every bit of the augments to try to get that HP back up. Braids, who took out both Yamzo and Rise 2 different times, fighting for it here now with Moo already down. 1v1 situation between him and Claps. If he can go ahead and finish this one quick, there's an opportunity for Moo to get back into the game with a reboot. His opponent trying to hide in the cone. Claps going to get spotted out. Braids with the aggression, but slowing down just enough so he could reload and put himself back into a great spot. This is going to be huge as Claps is just trying to find some stability towards the low ground. Chubb's coming in from the outskirts. Braid's not slowing down. He's already fought with the best of them, took him down, and now he's looking to take down one more. But the longer he takes, the harder it's going to be for him.
Yeah, this is one of those fights that's clearly been long and drawn out. The third party in this whole engagement was the Yamzo and Rise. Those guys are still alive in this game, so I'm sure they were able to just get out, but it's not looking good for the remaining fragments of these teams. And now turning into a classic build fight here. Claps trying to mantle his way on up. And Braids will hit a nice shot there to counter it. And then cleaning things up swiftly. Claps was out of materials. Braids just had enough left in the tank to keep him in.
Yeah, he needed to go ahead and pounce on that one quick. I heard the Danger Hero pop off. He was regenerating HP, trying to use his minis. Scare. Quanti, 158 points, trying to rotate as quick as possible. We got a little bit of a north zone this time around. So that southern portion of the actual zone is going to be a little bit congested. Back on over towards Slappy Shores, where they're probably trying to regenerate as much health with the slap barrels that are all around. But Cold takes a big shot, forced to back down. Danger Hero playing another role. Cooper trying to go ahead and use that shockwave hammer to take a little bit of height, but he gets shut down as well. Everybody's sporting the Danger Hero perk right now except for Acorn, and that might have been just it. That causes him to go down, and another 2v1 opportunity for hide and seek Cooper.
Yeah, this fight was bound to break out at some point, and eventually everything just sort of exploded into what is this fight we have here. And another instance where it looks like Acorn and Cold are just no match for Cooper and hide and seek. Cold is one of the most insane players I've ever watched. But I think this might be too difficult for him. If he was to pull this off, if he's one of the better players we've seen all weekend long. Hold on a minute. Let's not speak too soon. He's solo HP, but he's hitting big shots to counter, and another big one. That is, again, an opportunity for Cold. Will he do it? He's actually really making this awkward and difficult for them. Any other player would have been down ages ago, but he is making it work. But no, he will fall. Cold. Almost taking our breaths away.
He ran out of options. He had one shot left in the Thunder. It was all or nothing there. And it's going to be a great opportunity to see a lot of these teams really rise to the occasion.
For sure. And that is what everybody will be looking to do, stepping up their game in these moments. Canada here, looking for Surge. We're going to hit some nice shots there on Booga. Not too shabby, if I say so myself. Of course, Booga and Peterbot are still up, right? So they were involved in that whole altercation over at Slappy. But they got out and they're still in this game. Jumper and Paper still up as well, just in that top 10 and looking to rise as much as they can.
Degen and Muzz. One of the first times we're seeing them as a complete duo, really trying to take advantage, but realizing I don't want to bite off more than I can chew in this situation. Let's try to get out, trying to spot another team, but they become the focus as well. Got a little too tunnel vision. They're going to pay the price. Now the pressure is on, especially since Illis is below the damage threshold. He needs these shots. Another one's going to be landed. Jamper and Paper as well. They're trying to find anything to work with. Find themselves a little bit of that zone to where they get inside, no longer taking too much damage as they continue to pressure and hold another team out.
Yeah, that's real tough. I'm not sure if Paper has a hammer. I don't think he does, because if he did, it'd be perfect for them to just try and hammer their way into zone. But where they are now, it's going to be so awkward. Players already sitting in zone, players to either side of them as they try to rotate in here. Bush Warrior will allow themselves to get up in HP just a bit. Look at all this mess going on. Oh my goodness. This is what happens in some of the last games, right? The lobby starts to divulge into madness. And in this case, it's Slacks and Illis who are in the thick of it. Slacks can't hack it with Pump and Trashy on his case. And they'll clean things up here. Just for a moment as they take out Degen. Illis still lurking.
One fight to the next, not giving up. And they need this. They were down below at one point or another. Trashy and Pump, almost 1,000 basically at that point. Before it went away, they were about 900. You got to imagine just a little bit more. Topped them up and over. Fuga and Peterbot trying to come out with revenge here in this next game. Going down very, very early on in that last 2v1 from hide and seek. He's no longer in that lobby position anymore. So now Fuga and Peterbot trying to take back what's theirs.
If I know Fuga and Peterbot, I will know that they will not be happy about being made to look like fools in that last game. They will be very, very interested in doing what they've done so well today, picking up victory royales, already 2 on the day for that duo, and looking to get their third.
User and Duke have a little bit of that high ground position on the side of the mountain. And the thing is, they know that at least their backs are safe because of that natural terrain. Hide and seek. Yeah, you said it yourself. Peterbot getting revenge. I said he was going to take back what's theirs, and that was the loot from Slappy Shores.
Wow. Hide and seek this time round is not able to do what he was able to do before. No remontada today. Peterbot will deal with him appropriately. And now they can make their way into the zone. Yomzo there gliding his way on in. Good to see him still up in this game. Canada and Aegis though, positioned incredibly well. Not able to connect to shots, which is something we don't say about them too often. You see Canada's clearly locked in, but just about missing.
This is looking like it could be one scary end game. I know we're on third zone right now, but looking at where it's landing over towards the north, the possibility of the different terrains up and down the mountain. So where you play these next couple of zones is going to be important. How many builds that you have is going to be huge for a lot of these players. As Peterbot and Booga getting pressure to the outside, Agers is going to be able to lend that helping hand. Peterbot was cleaned up. Now it's all up to Booga. First place has a chance of going down yet again, and it strikes. Canada and Agers now have a chance here to take over.
Canada and Agers, this is their time, this is their game, this is their opportunity. But will they capitalize? We saw Canada hitting crazy shots as he does. but this will definitely be the time to do it. All over again. Booga and Peterbot are out once again, way earlier than you'd expect. And they're going to have to hit the drawing board before that last game. Rokane and Joji have been super impressive, playing this game out very methodically. And now they find themselves in a good position. Rokane was getting caught out there for a second. And I'm sure now he'll be much... Wow. What a find.
Now you see why Rapid is trying to hold on to that spot, not let them get the loot. Even if he can't hold it himself, you still don't want to let that go around to the rest of the lobby.
And look, the implications of that find for Rokane and Joji to just pick up 2 hammers there, that is game-changing. These guys are now major, major players in this lobby. A blessing from the Fortnite gods, it seems.
Especially since I was talking about where the zone's going to end. This one is definitely going to be a roller coaster of emotions and literally a roller coaster up and down the different terrains. So where you really do position yourself, how many mats, all that's going to be important, including the damage for Storm Surge, 121 below the threshold, but instantly popping themselves back up. You got to imagine somebody probably going down, only 20, not too much to worry about, just like Edgy and Miro, not too much to worry about. Getting height, getting themselves a great position. So no matter they're this one pools, they can survey, they can look, gather all the information before they make their next move.
And the move it is, he'll have to make. Clicks, still in this one. And he's not a happy bunny because Donnie is down. So he's getting uber aggressive. And understandably, he's actually going to just try to get in here, dodging the window, picking up the wall himself and opening it up. Clicks looking like his best self. A very, very cheeky elimination. And he'll be able to hammer himself out, dropping down as well. He could have picked up the loot, but looking to just focus on getting to zone. And I see why. There are so many players in this area. It's going to be tough for him if he doesn't.
Unfortunate, not able to really grab any of that loot for all of his efforts. Plenty of damage when it comes to Storm Surge staying above. Hot on his heels, it's going to be Kanata and Agers. They know when somebody's a solo, you got to strike while the iron's hot before the rest of the lobby gets to him as well. Clicks taking shots from all of the directions. He comes to focus of the lobby, trying to hold on to his walls. That's not going to stop 2 of the most aggressive players in the game. But Clicks doing a good job of fighting back, not going down just yet, even taking down the shields of Kanata.
Clicks is one of the only players in the world that can escape a box-to-box situation like that from Kanata. Almost any other player in this lobby, you would have expected them to be right back to the home screen. But nevertheless, Clicks gets out somehow, and he's still in this one. What a moment for Clicks. Just one build left, though.
So let's say having to expend so many mats, so many resources. Last charge onto the shockwave, but he gets another one. Ooh, man, though, did that help him so much? Because now he's on the slower side of zone for now, but the shockwaves are coming in. The duo's closing the gap. Anything that he can find now could be a huge success, depending on what augments he actually has.
He's going to try farm here, and that's probably the best play because he needs something to protect himself with. And if he keeps going north, there's not going to be many people really that can have their eyes on him. But I am... Oh, no, M-Pen following. So he has to keep track of the guy just behind him. But Click still being alive in this game is a big, big shock to me for sure.
And depending on whether or not M-Pen's actually a solo, I can see a world where that low, that separated from everybody else, that could be an opportunity for Clicks to take in a 1v1 situation with a much-needed refresh. Trashy and Pump, though, finding their stride late into this one, but better late than never. 9 splashes, Shockwave Hammer, plenty of builds to work with, probably waiting for the next zone, see where it's going to be at, and maybe they can grab that front side and grab height.
And Trashy, as his eyes set on Cease all the way down there, playing with Tragics. We've not seen much from them today, but certainly a duo that can make things happen. Clicks was making things happen, but M-Pen was the one to take him out. Kanata and Ages, though, this is their game, this is their moment. With Peterbot and Booga down, can they take first place? Can they pop off? Have the kind of game as a duo? But we know they can. Hamster and Thatch looking good. Going to be able to profit there from some of the loot. And that should go a long, long way as this zone will pull towards the north.
Short-lived victory there. Hamster and Thatch immediately took out that solo. Yamzo and Rise trying to stay ahead of the zone. Zeus and Tragics trying to do that same thing. Igna's there as well, but along with everybody else is going to be TK and Pledge. 124. They're at least within reach. If they can get a couple eliminations here, not forcing it, a victory royale in back-to-back games, they could possibly take a top spot here, along with Pamsu and Fast with 146. Trying to get ahead of the zone, trying to go around everybody else. You don't want to get caught in the mix, just like Igna getting caught in the sky with the Shockwave Hammer. not what we want to see as they both go down together.
As powerful as the hammer is, when you are such low HP, you just leave yourself exposed to teams. And that's exactly what we see there. But if you are strong like Nossen and Flo are, it is brilliant for just getting yourself in, giving yourself that room. Canada and Aegis, they're hungry though. They're looking for refreshes. When they're doing that, this is one of the perfect places to do that. They see these two teams fighting, and so they look to get involved, almost connecting with something big there, but still on the hunt. Pump though, up on high. What can they do this game? Trashy. They're going to be exchanging builds, swapping that all around, keeping their eyes though on players in the backside of the zone. Cease might get caught out. Very fortunate to still be alive.
Putting it lightly, especially with how aggressive the lobby is.
Oh, look at these guys.
He's finally going down. Canada and Aegis right there on the cusp, being able to take first place away from Puga. Peterbot, but slammed to the outside of zone. Canada into the wrong box. He goes down. It's all up to Aegis here to have a clutch for the Aegis. Just a few more points to take over that first place spot.
What have I just seen? I can't believe my eyes. There's no way that should have happened. Canada will be fuming, raging, posting up how that has just turned around. Everything was looking so perfect, so brilliant. The hammer shockwaves him right into the wrong box. The game must go on though. Aegis has to try and fight, and that's exactly what he'll do. He'll pick up TK, and I'm sure he'll look to do much more than just that. Needs to hit something though. In the backside of the zone is a solo without many mats. It's always a vulnerable position. Nossen all four, and so players left, right, and center struggling here, it seems.
Yep, that's User and Duke towards the low ground. 4 eliminations, but Duke taking too much damage. He gets shot down. Zone pulling back.
Wow.
They reuse their same builds, not having a shockwave just yet, buying themselves more time. User trying to get to the front side of zone. Only a few builds to work with, trying to look back. He can find anything, but rises down. So that knows that Yamzo is now a solo, trying to come up big. But if there's anybody I want my team as a solo, it's definitely Yamzo.
Aegis is doing a brilliant job right now, though. As a solo, he's picked up all the elims. We've been talking so much about Canada's brilliance today, but right now it's Aegis carrying the team on his back and looking to keep it moving. You can see the players are running out of mats, and when you run out of mats, there's only one way for you to go. That's back to the lobby. Aegis, another one.
A huge find for Aegis. Trying to break through the covers. No real builds to work with. Danger Hero getting his HP up. As Yamzo is trying to look for more eliminations. He has 5 as a solo, 6 as a team, 173 points. Trying to make up for lost time as Aegis bounces to the front side of zone, using the little bit of mats he has left, finds a quick shot. That's going to take down another one. A huge find for Aegis as he takes down Sustrip and getting just enough mats to work with.
He can't keep getting away with this. There is no reason why Aegis as a solo should be causing this much damage to everyone else in the lobby. He might just find the Yamzo in a moment if he's patient enough. He keeps it going, though, running low on builds into another big shot having to be connected. Fatch might be on the receiving end of that. Will he be? No, Aegis finally falls. Fatch, though, keeping it going. And him and Pamstu are looking mighty fine, but with the zone pulling up the hill, Trashy and Pump are in a perfect position to take them out. And it looks like that's exactly what they will do. Pamstu falls, Fatch is following. ABN now is a remaining player in the game. And it looks like Trashy and Pump will be able to take him out. Time is ticking. The hammer player will come out, but you've got to think he can't hold on for much longer. No, he will not. Pump and Trashy take game 5.
There have so many teams that took that 5th game as an opportunity to kind of make up for that lost time. Yamzo and Rise, and then Trashy and Pump. A huge amount of eliminations, a huge amount of aggression paying off for them to take that game and put themselves in position to get as many series points as possible.
I think when you look at the way the games have played out today, Jacob, I don't think there's a team that might have had an easier win. These guys were chilling, big chilling up on high. They were coasting, legs kicked up, and in the final moments, the zone pulled right in their favor, and it allows them to win the game, and that's going to be huge for them as they rise in the standings.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that zone go towards the north side of the map, just like a couple of games before, it's literally a roller coaster of emotions, how you pick and choose not only your spot, but your resources and how you're going to rotate. Truly dictated how that game ended, and Trashy and Rise, they stayed at the top of the mountain through and through, were able to kind of recycle a lot of the resources to claim that top spot.
Hey, look, big game for Trashy and Pump there, but as we get ready for game 6, a big one, a lot on the line, we're going to send it to the analysts to get us ready.
Game number 5 was a nail-biter. The games do not ever disappoint here in NA East. We are happy to be back with y'all and seeing some amazing gameplay with with one game left to go, I feel like there's quite a bit of expectations on a lot of these players.
So many expectations and a lot of questions that we had of these teams and these players have been answered so far, but of course it's not the end yet, especially for teams like Canada and Aegis, right? We saw Canada, of course, clutching up earlier on, and now it's Aegis' turn to do that. What a performance, Jen.
Yeah, Aegis was able to have this clutch endgame without Kanada's help, and the places where he was in, we were just like, how did you get out of that? He was able to escape so many situations, and that just shows you like how adaptive he is as a player.
Yeah, and this is exactly what happens when you put two strong solo players together in a duo. When it merges, it can be incredible, but when you're left alone, when you're in a less than favorable situation as Aegis was in, you can just rely on your teammate. You know, Kanada's sat back, he's chilling. I don't even think he's communicating. He's like, he'll do it. You know, Aegis will be fine, and he'll clutch up. And oh boy, did he do very, very well.
So fantastic. We can't not forget about NAE's most wholesome duo. It's Pamstu and Fatch showing up there in the end game as well. I mean, that's what I'm kind of enjoying seeing out of just week one. We're seeing so many, like a variety of names, a variety of duos kind of show up and say, yeah, you're going to be seeing our names for a while now.
Yeah, and Pamstu and Fatch, a little interesting story about Pamstu and Fatch. Of course, they actually split because Fatch had a bit of an injury, and this is actually their first event back. They actually qualify straight back into the FNCS Major 1 here, and oh boy, are they putting on a show. This is a North Zone as well, Jenny. We've seen a lot of them today.
Yes, we actually have seen quite a few North Zones pulled and in the snow as well, which for the low ground players can definitely be very challenging. And the players that land south, you know, having to make that that run through all the terrain up to the zone. It's just crazy.
It is absolutely difficult indeed. Here is our leaderboard. So a thing to note here, this is a cumulative thing, okay? So for the next 3 weeks, we're playing a bunch of games, all right? And then after week number 3, we're looking to take our top 40 duos across a cumulative leaderboard into week 5. Everyone else, we're going to Surge Week to get that final 10. Aegis and Kanada, though, currently leading the pack. And here's what I kind of love about looking at the standings, and we can kind of see how players are kind of moving up and down the leaderboard. You look 6th through 8th, right? Look at these massive jumps. Right now, no one is safe, and we're looking to play for total number of series points. And I feel like this is a pretty strong showing, but with one game left, no one is like, you can't make a mistake right now. Not here.
No, and that's shown. Peterbot and Booga, they were in a prime position at the beginning of the day today. They've just let it slip a little bit. We saw them there going down. They got a little bit of revenge on Seek, but it wasn't quite enough. They had so much time spent inside of the fight, inside of the Slappy Shores area, that by the time they got to rotate, they were late. Everyone else was already pitched up, ready to go. And unfortunately for them, it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. In that slap area last game, too, you had a lot of top players, and it was scary there for a second. I definitely thought there was going to be some eliminations from the top players we were going to see taken out, but they made those slight rotates and they were able to maneuver their way out.
Yeah, a lot of there's been quite a bit of dynamic action. We actually have a player reaction here from this game. Let's take a look together to see how this goes.
I mean, Trashy and Pump, what a performance, right, from this duo. I mean, we're going to see the player reaction in a bit, but Pump and Trashy, one of those duos that have been popping off. And Pump's one of those players that has been up and coming for a little while. Let's wait for the reaction. We'll see it in a sec. There it is, Trashy. As you can tell,
oh, wow.
Very excited. Maybe not that excited. I mean, he seems to be a little bit reserved.
Stay humble, right?
Yeah,
humble. And the victory out. Me? It's not a big deal. But once again, we take a look. Everyone's looking quite strong. And as we kind of prepare ourselves for this last game, is there maybe a duo you guys have eyes on that you're like, hey, I just wanted these guys to do well, especially in week 1?
I mean, for me, it's Pamstu and Fatch, right? We saw them have a very, very solid performance in that last game, even when the zone was at its almost worst for this duo. This is one of those situations where they have to rotate far. We saw them using the boat earlier on as well to make that dead side rotation. I mean, of course, we look down towards the bottom half of the leaderboard as well, the top 20 here. Jenny, I'm excited to see how Trashy and Pump do. I'm excited to see so many names.
I'm so excited about Hide and Seek, too, because we've seen his performance taking out these top teams. We know what he's capable of. If he makes really smart decisions with his duo, they're going to be able to compete on that high level and really make something for this. I really can see them moving up into that top 10.
So fantastic. And just think, this is just week 1 of NA East. We're back tomorrow for action in EU. My gosh, I love the new chapter of Fortnite. I just feel like there's just so much happening, so many different ways to kind of win or kind of hit those consistency factors for a lot of these duos. I'm just excited to see how things kind of continue to evolve and develop, right? I think for me, one of the craziest things was utilizing the Storm Scout. I'm sorry, the Scout. Just sit there and just, hey, 1v1, yeah, you're right there. Stay there.
I saw that. No, we did, didn't we? With Eomzo and Rise at the beginning, using that Storm Scout or the Scout, Falcon Scout, sorry.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's the one. I forgot the name too. But yeah, the Falcon Scout to scout off spawn, doing very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because they only hold it at the beginning. You don't really see people holding it during endgame, but it's definitely such a great one at the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Fortnite fam, it's that time. Game number 6 here in NA East. Let's do it.
After 5 of the most grueling games possible, I never would thought we'd make it to this point. Our 6th and final game. And thanks to all of our up-and-coming teams taking down our top competitors very, very early on in some of those games, we're in for a doozy.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun final game. It's been an incredible watch so far, and so I'm sure the players will not disappoint as we hop off the battle bus one more time for today. Who will it be to come out on top? Throughout the day, we've seen different teams at different points in the games thriving, surviving. Canada and Aegis currently hold first place. Will they be able to hold on? That will be the question. Will Peterbot and Booga finally come back into the fray? Almost a mini choke here we've seen. They were holding onto it. They were looking so good. Everything's falling apart. And who will win their off-spawn battles? Of course, we've seen Dubs and Accept go down early a couple times, and that's why they've fallen in the standings, Jacob.
This is huge. This is huge. Pam, so is already getting one on an Accept. 1v2 situation. Dubs is down. The French-Canadian duo rises to the top here in our 6th game. A hot start for them, but an even better start for Eomzo and Rise after a bad couple of mid-games. They're making up for it in game number 5 and starting off big in game 6.
And considering how tough of a run they had in terms of going down the spawn a couple times, to see them still thriving, still pushing in that top 10, I'm super, super excited about the prospect of this team over the course of this major. And they've already picked up one. And it looks like they're going to do another. Hey, look, Jacob. I asked earlier in the day, what is Braids cooking? It don't look like he's cooking nothing right now.
Hold on. Let him cook. Let him cook. You just popped the big pot. We've seen him take down 2v1 situations before. Flying to the sky. Whizzing pass. Getting the first one knocked on the Eomzo. Siphon's going to be necessary. 21 HP, but Rise takes him down and saves the day.
Braids almost made me eat my words. I'll put my hands up. I was too quick to call it. But nevertheless, Eomzo and Rise will pull through. And that is definitely how they would have wanted to end the day, winning that battle. TK, though, will be taken out, and so it's going to be Suscript and John, who once again have a chance to keep it moving in the standings. They've been a team that have been very, very impressive so far today.
Another one of those impressive teams. First place right now. And I really think it was that momentum from yesterday, knowing that their backs were up against the wall. Danger of not even qualifying to this point. They go ahead and take it in stride as Macwood and Threats try to do the same thing, but Threats is finally knocked yet again. It's up to Macwood to try to make something happen. Splash has plenty to work with.
We saw Macwood and Threats in a similar situation, but when it was Threats alive, he had a big, big solo clutch, right? And so now it's up to Macwood to do the same.
Can't do it. You see him sneaking around towards the low ground. They don't even know where the knock is at, and if they could be out of reach, they might not get the indicator of the revive going off. The Specs closing the gap, dropping down low. The inevitable is about to happen. The clash between these two teams. The lone soldier of Macwood takes a shot from the side, trying to go ahead and come back from nothing, but he goes down altogether. Their run has come to an end.
End of the day for Macwood and Threats. We've seen their highs, we've seen their lows, and unfortunately today, a couple more lows than highs. And so back to the drawing board. We'll see you next week, hopefully. The story's still yet to be written, though, for Clix and Donny. Currently sitting in 16th. Of course, Clix always going to be a fan favorite. Now a free agent looking for a new home. Definitely needs to put on the kind of performance you want to see from him. You want to see him at his best. You know how much it means. But they got to win this fight, and it's a fight that they have won a bunch of times today.
There's the flies at the picnic again. Third parting, trying to take a bite of the food. Clix trying to save it for himself. Donnie trying to get the extra angle. Excalibur shots coming in. Nut and Nosh just trying to go ahead and peek in and out of these covers. not really let them know where the position's at. Ultimate low ground, Click's closing in on him, trying to take these pieces over. Nut knows he's there, tries to go ahead and push right back at him. Nobody's able to find some success just yet as the shots continue to pour in.
Click's waiting patiently. We know he's comfortable in box fight situations, and so you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. Gonna get time to use that big pot as well. Donny is gonna have to start farming, getting his materials up, because he's clearly gonna need it, unfortunately. He takes a shot though. And so now that's gonna be the trigger for Nut and Nosh to go on the offensive. Donny though isn't gonna go down without a fight. And Click's now looking to get in. That's brilliant. That's exactly what you wanna see. So they're gonna take out one and make it a 2v1. Can Nosh do the impossible, it seems? We've seen some crazy 1v2s today, Jacob, but this should certainly be one of the more impressive ones, and it's not gonna happen.
Great job for Clicks and Donnie, closing it out. Even though the chances of them rising to that first place spot is slim to none, where it's all about those series points, getting yourself that spot where you don't have to go through that surge week. I know that's going to be one of the grueling ones that we're going to hear and face. But back on over this, Acorn got that knock very, very early on to hide and seek, but Peterbot and Booga playing a game of hide and seek on their own, slowly but surely closing the gap. And for them, this is about that victory. A huge shot onto the Cooper's backside, and now it's basically a 2v2, Acorn and Cold versus Peterbot and Booga.
Who will come out victorious? If you were to ask most people going into today's games to predict the best two teams, who's going to finish first and second, a lot of people would have had Peterbot and Booga and Acorn and Cold, but now these two teams are going to have to fight off here. One in third, one in 30th. Complete opposite parallels. But one thing that will stay constant, and that is Peterbot hitting big, big shots. Large amounts of damage being dealt here. And now a chance for him to close things out completely. Gets that wall, another shot, but he's going to trade some damage there. Booga needs to start getting involved in this one, if there's any chance.
Bush Warrior perk being used by Peterbot. Probably giving up that signal to Booga, knowing when to play passive, when not to play passive, but Kanata goes down. Evaders is out as well. First place is up for grabs, and this fight means oh so much if that is the case. And for Acorn and Cold, the last time I've really seen these guys in a straight-up 2v2, it was Acorn and Cold who came out on top. Will Deja Vu strike as the pressure continues to mount up? Peterbot taking control of almost every piece above them, giving them little options to work with.
What is going on with Kanata and Aegis? That will be the big question. What we see going on here is what's been a bit of a stalemate in terms of the fight. But you've got to think somebody's going to have to close things out soon. There is a third party getting involved. I'm not sure if that's Flow. We know they've liked to get involved in this fight a bunch of times to their success.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not. But either way, with another team rolling on in, it makes this way more chaotic than it needs to be. And that's what happens when you get on the bad side of Peterbot. He makes you pay. And the finish will come through now as well. A little distraction on the way to completing this one out.
Talk about perfect timing, though. They really snuck up onto Booga, dropped him down to just a sliver of HP. Peterbot turns, burns, takes out one, saving the day, putting themselves up to tip-top shape. And you can see they're not backing down just yet. They still want to take on this fight. They still want to gather these eliminations. And you can see they're putting their back to the edge of zone. So now the choice is theirs. They can disengage at any moment, or they continue to be the aggressors.
And it might look like they are going to make the option you said first and try to get out of this one. Acorn and Cold may just live to play this one out. And here we have another view of what Peterbot was able to do. Oh my goodness. I say this so many times. He just makes it look like he's warming up in creative. This is one of the hardest lobbies he would have played in all season long, and he makes it look easy, Jacob.
Boxed him up like a pizza, delivered him first class, 30 minutes or your meal's free. He said, nah, no refunds for you. Pamso and Fatch, 6th place in the lobby, left alive, 198 points, trying to shoot up as much as possible. 2 eliminations right out of the gate. A little bit of comfortability to work with in terms of Storm Surge, but they know comfortability and Storm Surge never go hand in hand. You're always worrying about it sooner or later.
Yeah, it's something you have to keep in mind. It's such a big factor in these games.
But they're still up.
Hey, look, our top 3 is all still up. We did see Canada go down in the feed. Hopefully that's nothing, you know. Hopefully it was just something light and they're still looking good. If it is just Aegis as a solo though, that is where things start to get scary. But to be fair, after last game, the way he was solo clutching, we can never doubt him.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt him. I wouldn't put my money against him. My V-Bucks, nothing. You can see Warrior and ABN trying to travel their own way, working their way up the leaderboard. You can see them in a top 3 position as of now. You're using as many of those mushrooms on the ground as possible. Anything so that don't have to use any minis, big pots, or splashes. Booga and Peterbot continuing on with the aggression. Mega and Justice don't know the force that is coming at them right now. 2 of the most aggressive players in the lobby. 2 of the hottest players in this week right now. Over 123 eliminations to get to this point. You can see they've tagged on even more since then as they continue to try to find the angles, not backing down from Mega and Justice. They know that they're there, but you got to imagine this is towards faulty splits. There's a lone arrow. That's Quaw. Jock went down early on. He's probably waiting for all this promotion to finish so he can get the reboot as Peterbot going in, right into the box at that, making it look easy as Justice gets dropped.
This guy's a cheat code. I've run out of...
He is a bot.
He is, isn't he?
The good kind.
I can't even, you know, describe. I've used all the words I possibly can. But what more adjectives can I use it?
He must have updated his firmware right before this one.
Yeah, clearly. But that was huge for them, right? Because they needed it. They weren't able to, you know, profit off of Slappy the way they typically would. And so a refresh was imminent.
Cold getting spotted out in the distance. 400 above, and Cold just gets chopped down in the blink of an eye. Warrior and ABN putting the necessary shots. Acorn knows I can't be the hero. I have to get out. The game is all on my shoulders. And with how they've been playing, that's a ton of pressure for Acorn to take on his own.
Awareness check for Cold. Knock, knock. Nobody answers. Cold taken out in this final game. And it's a shame because if you're watching for the first time, you might be thinking, you know, I keep hearing a lot of good things about this Cold guy, you know? And it just hasn't quite been his day. But I do assure you, they will come back. He will come back next week.
It's going to be scary, too.
And it is going to be scary, right? It is definitely going to be scary. This is somebody who is rising to the top. At times this season, he's looked like the best player, not just in NA, but in the world. And so I'm sure we'll see better days from him throughout this major. Still, though, his teammate Acorn, I keep saying Acorn,
Agers,
he's a formidable player.
2 points as a solo. And our questions from earlier on have been answered. We saw Kanata go down. We know he's back up and in better form than we last saw him as Sustript and Venezuela taking out TK and Pledge to start the game off, finding 2 more eliminations along the way. 747 above the damage threshold. Their only worry for now is making it as far into the zone as possible, setting themselves up for that sweet spot because peeking is not going to be necessary. Noxie and Okus in a rather similar position, but not as much damage. 382 as Peterbot and Booga. The journey continues towards the low ground, just on the cusp of the zone. 920. Fight after fight. They already have 3 eliminations. They know Acorn is there, close by, trying to spot him out. And this could be an opportunity for them to strike, but they have a team above them. That is going to be Duke. That is going to be User. They get into the box. Acorn's trapped in the bushes. Peterbot with that new augment again, cracking the shields, getting that 0-point ability, but choosing not to go directly in and aggress onto Acorn. Peterbot knows exactly how the situation is. They're in 2nd place, 1,100 above the damage threshold. Now's not the time to mess around.
This is a very, very crucial moment in telling today's story. This is the moment that could change it all for them. Of course, they will need Kanada and Aegis to slip up if they are to overtake them. But nevertheless, if you can't bank on that, you still need to go all out, have their best game possible. Of course, this is what Aegis has been up to. Oh my goodness.
Wow. They just unstoppable right now. Illis and Slacks get caught on the outside of zone. Not too many other teams there, so nobody's going to be that third-party focus to try to alleviate some of that pressure. Just nightmares happening here in game number 6 for some of these teams. 33 left, 64 total players. A couple of solos running around. as Warrior, Skittles trying to find what could be the slow side of the zone, and a huge change up from the icy mountains of the last couple of games. We get a little bit of water. We get a little bit of green here.
A nice switch up, an appropriate one, considering the games we've had. Feels like the scene is very much being set. I'm sure fans will be split on who they want to see win, just like the players are splitting the map right now by that river. Which side would it fall on when it comes to the next zone? I'm sure there are players in the lobby who know if they have that forecast augment.
That's a huge bounce. And we saw them draw the positive scare and quantity and move all the way from 36 after game 1 all the way to 8. Constant progression, consistency through and through. As Scuff, Script, and John trying to put the shots on the scare, Quanti, ABN, and Warrior. They still have a little bit of rotation to go, but trying to keep as much of the elevation as possible on their way there. Slowly but surely moving in on Omega, but I don't know if they know he's a solo. I don't know if they got that information with the high ground that they had before, but they don't want to get stuck on that low layer.
Either way, they don't have to be too overzealous here, right? They are set up really nice. Above on Surge, their loot is phenomenal. Their mats are excellent. If they can get something for free, go for it, right? But when one of your biggest competitors, Peterbot, is just a couple tiles away, you can't afford to overextend. You have to keep your cool.
I think Peterbot just wants like screen time.
He does, doesn't he?
He's either getting the eliminations in front of us or he's getting them off screen and saying, hey, I'm still doing work over here. 4 eliminations to start the game, saving Booga's life. And guess what? We're going to figure out how he got that elimination anyway.
Look at this. Mega didn't stand a chance. Shot flying through the window. And that's going to be the end of his day. Peterbot has been brilliant. But this is the moment where champions start to be born, where you start to lay the seeds for even the bigger events to come this year. Of course, we all know that's what these players are playing for. Series points today leads to spots in the final, which leads to spots at global championships. That's all it's about.
Millions of dollars along the way and millions more to be fought at the end of the year. Plenty up for grabs for a lot of these guys, and that's why, even though you might not see these players at the top of the leaderboard, they're still trying their hardest to have a great game, because you said it yourself, the series points, where you place at the end of the day, means so much. If you qualify and go straight into the finals here for FNCS, or you have to play through Surge Week, or you have to grab a box of popcorn, pop it, and sit on the couch and watch some Fortnite with the rest of us.
I'd love to do that, but unfortunately, I'm going to be here with you. No, I'm just playing. It's always a pleasure to be with you and highlight these top moments and these top plays. Suscript has been someone who we've watched make top plays all throughout today, but in the last game, all alone, doesn't have Big John with him. I'm not sure if he's going to really be able to make this work with what he's got. It's going to be so difficult.
Difficulty is the name of the game here in game number 6. With how close the leaderboard is, especially with this water zone. Just look at it already. Nobody in the center, everybody towards the outskirts, and I thought those north zones up and down the mountains was going to be a dangerous one. This one could be just as dangerous for some of these teams in the lobby, especially if it pulls over towards the north side or even the eastern, where a lot of teams are going to have to rotate across those waters.
Yeah, water zones are always super awkward. If you're not familiar with competitive Fortnite, then be ready to be amazed. If you are familiar and you've played tournaments yourself, you'll know just how difficult it can be to rotate across the water if you don't have any sort of movement. If you've got hammers, you'll probably be just about all right. If not, though, it is not good at all. Byla and M-Pen wiped clean. Canada adding to his tally. Both of them now with eliminations to their names. 5 so far, and just going to continue to hold these teams in. Look at that. They ain't got to move anywhere. They just can stay there and take shots.
And you would be thinking, you know, in this situation, first place, Canada and Agers, you don't need the eliminations, right? but how many times did Peterbot's name pop up into the feed? That is the easiest way to close the gap between these two. Sooner or later, they got to realize that and thinking that consistency is not going to be enough. I have to start picking up these eliminations. Luckily for them, they found 2 more, add their total of 5. Walkers finds 1 on a Pam. Playify and Crazy get dropped down just a little bit, but they're still in zone with very little to worry about.
I'm seeing Thatch go down. And so some of our top dogs in these games are starting to fall at the wayside. Sometimes the pressure is just a bit too much. Players making their move on now, though. All those players from the east having to move to the west. And it's never going to be too easy. We've seen a couple players not able to make that jump, not able to make that move. Pervert and Walkers, we saw them much higher in the standings today. This will be their chance to sort of push their way on up. Booga and Peterbot, though, we talked about them trying to close the gap and trying to make it into zone. No, this is not what Booga would want. Takes so much damage as he hammers, and players are still taking shots at him. If they stay alive in this one, it would be huge, but when the lobby starts to focus you, that's always going to be tough. Building up, though, just to get out of the line of sight of some of those players is key.
I feel like I'm watching Vivid's masterclass of yesterday where he was kind of letting us know when you end up in that situation, you have to take the sacrifice, use your resources, expand outward, otherwise just continue to be focused. Booga showing exactly what to do. Bryce on the other side trying to hold on to those walls. The pressure is there, high ground, low ground. You even see Tahi trying to go ahead and sneak away a couple of shots. That's going to force Bryce to use a ton of mats, a ton of resources there in that situation. You see high ground on 2 different sides. Quanti and Scare has one side of that one. Booga and Peterbot have the other. And we have a southern pull, so both of those teams are going to have to reclaim it later in the game if they want to hold on to it.
Quanti will be in a favorable position compared to Peterbot and Booga at least, but they do have hammers to make a move on, and it looks like it's going to be the play for them now. ABN, though, of course, we can't forget their chances in this game. Still, all of our better teams, the top 3 is still alive and kicking. Who will it be that comes out on top?
109 points after game 1. Yamgo and Rise really putting to work after lost time. Trying to break that 200-point mark as Vert and Walker doing the same. Not an Agers finding that perfect elimination, trying to stay in first place, get proactive like the rest of the lobby is. But they got themselves a good spot, letting the zone move forward, staggering themselves back so they could shockwave there.
And the problem is, if you're a team trying to catch up to these guys, they just keep getting their limbs. How can you even catch up? Booga's doing a good job picking up some of his own. But when the first place team is just on a roll like Canada's and Ages are, it is so difficult to bridge that gap.
6 elims so far, 278, looking like they're closing in on another. That's User trying to get on out. Piece control going over. Options being limited. They know not to bite off more than they can chew. Back down. They're about 600 above the damage threshold. They don't have to continue to get aggressive. Scare and Quantity. They're going to hold on for now. Probably Shockwave just like Yamzo and Rise. Getting to the front side of zone. 371 above the damage threshold. But down goes Peter. Down goes Peter. It's all up to Booga in this situation to not only hold on to the spot, but get first place. He only has 2 resources left.
He only has 2 bills to place. And as great as he is, that might be too tough of a task. Canada's taken down ABN though, and so directly taking out one of his biggest competitors. And so that leaves Warrior in a situation where all he can do is go down. He cannot stay in this one. And it's Booga. All of our top 3 interacting with each other, all of them trying to fight for first place, and some of them even going down along the way. Booga, as a solo, can he do it? He's got a couple more builds now, not just working with 2, but Canada and Ages. They have been so relentless, so dominating, and they're doing it now again, clearing out teams on these mid-ground layers. They are looking like one of the best I've seen in a long time. Quantido and Scare up on height. They have a chance to move up in the standing.
Coming into this game with a chip on their shoulder, something to prove. Same could be said for a team like this. Chimp and Spade reunited, never felt so good. 171 points, 3 eliminations. Huge shot on the backside of Chimp. He finally goes down. It's all up to Spade. Cease and tragic towards low ground, but Spade rides to the top. Huge find on the Vert before he gets taken down. But back on board Booga. Everything on the line here. So much pressure. Weaving in and out. Shockwave and trying to get to the front side of zone. No builds to work with. Spots some loot. Tries to go down for it. Not going to find anything. Can't get too greedy in this situation. But he finds one on the rise. Huge play for Booga.
He's going. He keeps it moving. But if he's not careful, he's going to quickly run into the wrecking ball that is Canada and Aegis. They're on a tear down here. They've got control, and they're looking to clear out anybody on their layup. Cease might be next. Players camping, hiding in the water. Look like they're going to be next as well as Canada drops in there. You've got to think it's only a matter of time. Yep, he sees Booga. He sees him. He wants to take him out. Walkers will fall. Canada needs to be careful, though. Can't get too excited. But these two are just on a different level to everybody right now. For Booga to still be in this game, it's a brilliant solo performance, but just being outmatched, outmastered by the two players who have been on everything. Scare, still up above, but no materials.
Agers does go down, but I think him and Kanata have done just enough. Booga gets dropped as well. Final situation, 1v2 for Kanata. This is his chance not only to take part, but take over the rest of this game. Drops down low, 1v1 situation. This could be it. 153. Kanata, tag after tag, shot after shot, even staggering himself backside of zone. A splash to work with. Plenty of builds. Somehow is in full control. It's all up to Scare here with the high ground to try to make the big play. 70 HP, dropping him down to 20. He asked for a challenge, and he's ready to take it. Taking down Kanata. Scare takes game number 6.
Scare making Canada pay. That is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, in a final 1v1 when you get too overconfident. Yes, we know, Canada and Aegis, they will hold on to first place. But in that final 1v1, I want to see Canada win it. I don't want to see you emote him before you even win. And eventually Scare was the one to take him out. The question is, did Scare do enough? Because Scare was crazy in that game. And we have to remember, he's another player that was fighting for, you know, these top positions. They were in the top 5. And all of these elims will go a very long way. The victory out as well. Sure, they might not get first place, but the move up in the standings will be huge for series points.
32 HP, whittle Kanata down, shot after shot. You gotta be having all the confidence in the world after that one. No matter where you land on the leaderboard, the series points have been gathered.
It's crazy to me how in so many of these games, the top teams would fall at different times and you have different people rising. In the final game, our top 3 are the top 3 in the actual match. Like Booga falls in 3rd, then you get Canada in 2nd, and then Scare winning the game. It has been such an interesting day, a very fun 6 games. I can't wait to do it again in NA, and of course we've got EU tomorrow as well, but for us too, it will be the end. Brilliant. We'll send it back to the analyst.
Thank you so much, Levitt2K, Jacob PR. What an incredible set of matches. 6 games here in NA East for just week number 1 of Major number 1. We have way more Fortnite action coming up in the coming weeks, but let's take a look at these standings. So here it is, Agers and Kanata showing up massive, 372 points. This is a statement.
Absolutely. I mean, they have 37 elims too, and again, there were so many instances where Agers or Kanata had to play as a solo and still was able to get those eliminations during endgame.
Yeah, they didn't even get any victory royales today, so it just shows how consistent they've been. They didn't need him. One of the most long-standing duos on the region. They were absolutely popping off last season, and they were one of those. It was a little bit of a question maybe some people would have asked. It's like, can they keep up that momentum? Can they keep doing so well on this region? And I think today has just been an answer to that question. They haven't had the best season overall so far. Faulty Splits has been a bit of a mess, if I'm honest, with all those players landing there, especially in the more open formats, the Elite Cups and stuff like that. They have struggled a little bit, but what they've shown today is they will turn up when it matters most. And oh boy, are they showing it.
And I feel like that's a great point, too, because they're making a claim on Faulty, right? If I know how well they're performing and I want to land there, I might change my mind, man. I don't want to fight these guys. Not me.
No, I don't want to fight them.
I don't either. I might definitely rethink where I'm landing if I'm the rest of the duos.
Yeah, especially for Quanti and Scare right there. They had to fight him, and, you know, they got to be happy with that. The second place finished right there. But for Quanti and Scare, they had a really, really good endgame as well. They held height for the entire endgame. It was first moving zone. They built up, they reinforced it really, really well. And for all the players on low ground, they were using, of course, that mythic pistol just to spray down and do so much damage and keep that pressure applied. We've seen that a lot today as well, right?
Yes. Honestly, the twin mag has been something you see like being picked up during endgames just so that they can spray through and get those quick pump shots and eliminations for, you know, just extra points to get on the board and hopefully getting in a top 10 placement spot.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't forget Peterbot and Booga. I mean, just looking absolutely insane, showing up in those moments when they need to. And I feel like these guys have also been put in similar situations, right? Like, week 1 of Major 1 has been the story of I'm a solo player. Now watch me work.
Yeah, it's been a hot and cold day for them, I feel like, today, though. Yeah. It's been one of those days where things have gone well. They have 2 victory royales under their belt after today. But was it consistent? No. They've gone about it in a different way. They have that pop-off potential. Both of them individually are so good at clutching up, especially Peterbot. But we saw it with Booga here as well, picking up eliminations and doing a great job at it. That just shows when you put 2 powerhouses together, that's what can happen, right?
Yeah, and again, Peterbot and Booga had 1,000 over Storm Surge, but like the second zone. Like, it's kind of crazy. It put him in a really comfortable position because going into zone like that, you're just like kind of chilling, you know? Yeah. You're like, I'm so high above Storm Surge, like I ain't really gonna do much. I already put the work in. So they're looking really clean there. But again, I'm going to point out, Hide and Seek did come in a 2v1 and destroyable.
Don't remind them of that.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. No, I still did great.
Oh, no, don't remind them. We actually have something really special here. We have an interview with none other than Kanata, one of the duo members here, coming in huge. Kanata, what's going on, my man? How are you feeling?
What's up? What's good? I'm feeling hype right now. I'm feeling good. Like, I was in that last game, like, I did choke that 1v1 at the end, but listen, I was literally I was trolling really hard. But, like, I was having a lot of fun. Like, I knew I won the tournament, like before last zone, and I was just adrenaline through the body. Like, it was just feeling good.
Bro, I just got to ask, like, what are you guys doing right now? You guys have come out here and just made, like, one of the biggest statements, especially when we're thinking about things like a global championship. Now you got everyone looking at you coming into week 2. Like, what are you guys just practicing every day? Like, why are you looking so good?
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not practicing every day. The funny thing is, I VOD reviewed mid-tournament. Like, whoa. Like, there was like 3-4 North zones today, and like the first 2 zones, like we were like dying to surge like the second or third game, and then I was like, what am I doing right now? Like, how? When I have really good loot, right? Like, I'm landing one of the best spots. And then I was just like, all right, I'm going into replay. I go to replay, I find out some surge spots, pulls north again, and I'm confident that I'm not gonna just VOD review, right? And then I survive the next 2 games, north zones, get really good, really good placements in those games, and it was just good. It was just perfect in those games. I don't know.
That's so sick, man. You look incredible. Just to be able to on-the-spot VOD review, that is absolutely amazing.
Yep, on the spot.
What are some of the thoughts going through your head during those solo end games when it's all up to you because, your duo did get eliminated? What are just the thoughts?
Well, let's say, like, it kind of goes both ways when you're thinking like this, though. But when you're a solo, like, it always could be better. Because when you're playing solo in this meta with the hammer, like, you could solo clutch so much easier. And like, when I'm playing solo, like, I don't know, I just have this like sense of more confidence. And like the 5th game, Ager solo clutched really hard. Like, I had 0 kill, and he was just carrying me, right? I was just getting carried. I was sitting there like, wow, like, I'm getting carried. And like, it's just that feeling of just literally thanking God that you're playing with this teammate. You know what I'm saying?
It probably
goes both ways.
It does.
Like, at the end right there, I did choke, but like, if that was actually like a grand finals, I'm guaranteed not choking.
Yeah, nah, I mean, you still ended up on top.
But like, listen, like he's probably sitting there thinking, God, he's playing with me too. I hope that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, well,
that's my thoughts.
You guys picked up 13 eliminations in that last game, which is actually the record for the day, the most of the day.
Oh, really?
So yeah, you guys did great. But I just wanted to ask, of course, you talk about solo clutch, you talk about playing with Agers. What's it like to play with someone that you can have that confidence in? When you go down earlier on, what's it like to just have that utter confidence in Agers to clutch up? Because we saw it again today, and we've seen it in the past.
It's the best. Like, I've been playing with Agers for more than a year. And like, I just know what he's capable of. I know what he's gonna do. I know what I don't need to like worry about, like, because I know he's gonna eliminate the enemy, right? Because I know that he's my duo partner. That's the reason why I play with him. And it's just like, you don't have like any worry or paranoia behind anything. Like, you're just playing straight on and just knowing that you're gonna eliminate anybody. So yeah,
dude, that's awesome.
So good.
That's amazing. Kanata, anything you want to say to the fans here? Because I'm telling you, if for some reason people didn't know your name, which they absolutely should, they know your name for sure now.
Well, thank you guys for watching, I guess. I don't know. But I'm happy. I'm competing. I'm ready for grand finals. I'm hoping sure I make it to Copenhagen, and I hope this is gonna be a good year for me.
Yeah,
good
bro.
Year.
It's looking that way.
It's looking that way. I have all the confidence in you, and maybe we'll see you in Copenhagen. Best of luck in the coming weeks, my friend, and thanks for your time. So awesome. I mean, hey, you know, confidence. It does play a role in a lot of these players' gameplay, and to have that moment for Kanata just absolutely go crazy.
Yeah. They say confidence is key, so apparently that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this instance as well.
He just oozes confidence. I love it.
Really does.
He just oozes confidence. He's talking about it. Yeah, you know, clutching up. I mean, we already won the tournament. I can just email. I can do whatever I want. And that goes a long way, of course. We've seen it in other duos today. We've seen some of the teams that maybe were a little bit less confident going for those fights, going for those engagements, not quite coming out on top. But that's ultimately what separates the best from the middle of the pack, because those guys on top, Canada has the experience to do so well. And when you have that confidence in both yourself and your duo partner,
yes,
it makes some magic happen.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I mean, that's a life lesson. Make sure you're confident in everything you do. That's why I try to be like Vivid. Anyway, really quickly, let's talk about the broadcast schedule here. Remember, we're here every single week. Surge Week, going to be absolutely amazing. That's where we're looking for the remaining 10 duos when we get head on over to Grand Finals. Mark your calendar. You don't want to miss that. Now, before we say goodbye, why don't we meet up with our friends, our fellow casters who are hanging out with us to get some final, closing thoughts. I gotta say, I'm loving it. It is so much fun. There's so much action. It's dynamic. There's highs. There's lows. It's amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, look, everyone's, you know, happy about Canada and whatnot, but, you know, I say get rid of him. Ban him. Look, get rid of him. He said, right, I'm trolling. I was trolling last game. Can't be trolling last game. 100% that's what I want to see from the players I support. Just playing around. What I will say, though, is I am very, very, very hopeful that somebody one day will talk about me the way Canada talks about ages.
That is so true. Like, when he was just expressing, it wasn't, I guess it was coming off as, you know, just a love, but the confidence. It was genuine. I was like, wow, that's some true, passion right now. It was great.
I'm hurt. I kept calling you the superstar, getting cast with the legend. I was hyping him up. You're pushing me away. These are the highs and the lows you're talking about, right?
There's definitely a visual element to that as well, we can say. But no, of course, there are some duos that didn't quite do as well today as well. We saw Acorn and Cold not quite doing as well as we've seen them do in the past. And that was one of the things that maybe they'll have to hit the VODs as well and look back at thinking, hang on a sec, what went wrong? What do we need to fix up? And maybe have more of the hot than the cold.
I mean, Kanata did that apparently mid-tournament and just decided, hey, that's going to help me secure our #1 spot. That is absolutely massive. But that's pretty much it from us here from NAE. So remember, we're back tomorrow for the action in EU. How are they going to step up? We'll find out then. As always, we love y'all. Keep yourselves safe, and we'll see you on the battle bus. Beep, beep.